Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Box3 Motorsports returns for the season finale of Season 5. Mount Panorama there, as you see at the bottom of your screen. But let's bring with me here and introduce the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Phil Whelp Cakes Milwee. How are you, sir? How was your week?
Long.
Long? Yeah, long. They're always long anymore, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, somehow my work seems to find a way to jam in like an 8th day into the work week. I don't know how, but anyway.
They like finding those things. And it was a long week anyway, I think, just for the fact that we had to wait for this race, right? I think everybody's been waiting for this race all week long.
You're not wrong. You are so not wrong. Hey, thanks, Jake. I got shook there. Anyway, yes, no, I was looking at the statistics for this season in general, and just across the different classifications for this final round, it is it's nuts. Like we've got some of the tightest spreads across the field this season, and then also just the close fights that we're going to get to see with double points on offer. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, we're going to go through the standings here before we even get trackside. We'll let those guys do their free practice. We'll join during qual because I wanted to run through this real quick. Let's start with the AM class drivers. And again, we're going to see this throughout all the classes. Jester Flume leading out right now with 244 points. Steven Music currently in second with only 236. So an 8-point spread between 1 and 2. And as you said, double points. Now, one thing I noticed, and we talked about it on Recovery Drive, I don't know how many people are showing up. But the really crazy part is Kenny O'Connor sitting in third. He's in contention to win this.
Yeah, I mean,
that double points is 110 points for this race. Yes.
The spread in AM alone, we're talking about a striking distance that goes all the way down to Jace Wright.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, again, no joke. Anybody that's following the Box3 Motorsports on SimGrid, go check out the standings. It's nuts how tight
it
this is.
Crazy. And that's just AM. Let's get over to Pro-Am for this race. We'll talk about Silver and Pro before that race starts. Justin Seckham continuing to lead. Gian Cardoso, hopefully on track today. Steven Tomazic, all there in the top 3. Josie Austin, P4 right now with Edward Walsh, P5. And again, you have to say, depending on who shows up, right? We'll talk about that in a second. But depending on who shows up, depending on where, what happens, it's Panorama. Anything could happen today. These, again, top 5, I would say, are in contention. That number 1 spot is worth 110 points today. So all it takes, Edward Walsh, he didn't even have to finish first. He can clear, he could put himself on the podium just with this race today, easily.
Yeah. Like we were saying before, like with the tightness of this field. The other thing I kind of wanted to call out in particular with Pro-Am is, so the Pro-Am class, the best, the most solid participation from any class across all the series we're running right now. Like we're talking complete race participation potentially for the top 9 drivers in the field.
Yeah.
Been in every single race.
That has been our biggest category this season. Obviously see a lot of guys who never showed up down here. But yeah, like to your point, down to Alex Martin. And I believe though I saw a message just before we started, Alex Martin will not be able to race today. So he is actually going to miss this race.
He's in server right now.
Is he?
I see Alexis.
Maybe, okay, good. Hopefully he's in. I thought that was from him, but maybe not. Might have been somebody else. I'm not sure. But that's one thing I did want to talk about though, as we get ready to get trackside here and talk to you about. I don't know how much you watch the Discord during the week. I watch it enough to know, here's the thing. If folks have real life stuff going on, they shouldn't race. Real life's going to take priority over racing. 100% agree with that every day of the week.
Yeah.
That said, if you're not racing, just because it's Mount Panorama, I don't even want to talk at you. I don't think I want to talk to you.
It's tough. I mean, you can't really have an impact. I mean, let's talk about participation, right? So people have real life stuff that comes up. But at the same time, too, if you take a look at, for example, we go back to AM and take a look at Jace Wright being 33 points away from P1 with 2 did not starts.
Yeah.
What could have been for Jace? I mean, real life stuff comes up, but in the event where that doesn't come up, I mean, and he's here, like, how much closer is he to Jester Flume? Is it between him and Jester Flume for the title? Yeah, I mean, if you're not racing, you're not winning. So, yeah. And if you're not winning, but the thing again, to go back to the participation again, big shout out to everybody in the Pro-Am class for what is without a doubt the most complete level of participation from any of the classes this season. Yeah, I think this race in particular is gonna be a pretty good one.
I'm hoping so. And again, it's the mountain. How could you not want to see the mountain? It's going to be just absolutely fantastic. Let's see if we can't get trackside here. If this thing wants to pick up my window, it was doing some nutty stuff to me there a moment ago. So there we go. That's better. That's better.
Real quick before we roll over into qualifying right now, Jace Wright on top with the 203.420, getting ready to go into quali. So mid 203s look like they're the place to be at. 25 degrees ambient temperature, 33 degrees on track. So it's going to be a little bit warmer. It's definitely going to be a lot warmer than Indy was. But it's going to be a little bit warmer. Tire degradation for this race in particular is going to be tricky. One question, real quick, sir.
Of course.
Since it's the endurance format, is the mandatory pit stop on offer for this?
I do not believe there are mandatory stops for this. There's not. I do not believe there's any pit window. One of the guys in chat can probably confirm, but as far as I know, there's no window. But this being a 60-minute race, they're going to have to make a stop somewhere. Certainly for the second race, that's a 90-minute race for the Pro and Silver class. So we'll certainly see pit stops during the course of that race today. As we just, like you said, we're just waiting for qualification to get started here, and we will go trackside. We will be joined by a special guest here in just a few minutes. Mr. Matty T is going to join us from the Xbox side, one of our league managers. And I would certainly move him in here, but I'm afraid if I do, then I'm going to lose Phil's picture up there. And according to chat, that is the best thing you could ever want to see on stream. So I want to make sure it stays up there for as long as possible.
I'm ancient. I don't know what anybody's doing.
Welcome in, Steve. By the way, first time chatter with us today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you everybody for coming in for this season finale. Go tell everyone over on the Discord to get in here and watch these races today. Support your fellow drivers, because again, I think we're going to see a lot of hard racing today. 21 drivers on track for this AM and Pro-Am race to start off, as qualifying has just kicked off. So let's get over there and take a look as we let this run down. And joining us now, Matty T. How are you, Matt?
Hey, what's going on? How are you guys today?
Excellent. We are ready for this season finale, and as I was telling everyone before you joined, you're one of our Xbox League managers over there at Box 3, and we wanted to get you on stream today and have you hang out with Phil and I for a while. Yeah,
I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, it's been fun. I really enjoy the Box 3 community for the few months that I've been a part of it. It's a good time.
Excellent. Well, glad to have you here, and we are all set to get qualification started off. A 20-minute session for this race today. Which is usually only 15, but again, with a 1 hour race coming, I can see, and Panorama being a longer track, I think it's good to give these guys a little bit longer time to get a lap in. So who wins today, Matt? Let me ask you this question, because I think, I either I don't know Phil's answer, but I have a guess. Who wins today? Are we looking at Justin Seckham running away with it? Is Gian Cardoso gonna sprint out at the beginning, or is the Mountain gonna win this race?
I mean, it's Mount Panorama, so you always have to put a little bit of money on the Mountain, at least a little side prop bet. Justin Seckham he's been pretty dominant from what I've seen this season in the Pro-Am class. So, I mean, he seems like he could do it. I don't know. It's one of those tracks that I feel like you can be a great driver, but if you can't find the flow, especially for an hour race, it's going to be tough to stay away from those concrete barriers and stay out of the pits and fixing damage there, because that aero drag going down those long straightaways, you really can't afford to even scrape against those walls going up or down the mountain there.
And I'm going to make this prediction as we watch real quick, as we watch Frank Reynolds come down the mountain. Coming down this long back straight, I'm going to wait and see, and hopefully we'll get to see it here. Here's going to be the tell. Who's going to be the first one to take out these corner markers as you come down the long straight? Because that typically is an Achilles heel for some people at Panorama. Am I wrong?
Yeah, Oh, absolutely. Brake markers. I mean, I don't know. I tend to get pretty salty about the debate that people throw down about brake markers and pit boards. Like if you're not finding some sort of visual reference on the track that isn't permanent, you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. I do agree with sometimes when penalties are handed out for people to potentially take out signs and pit markers. But for me, I'm just like, guys, just find a physical marker, use that. So.
And I'm with you. I think penalties are justified if it's done purposefully. If you can tell somebody cut out there on purpose to whack one, I think that's I think a penalty is 100% justified. We've had that conversation regarding pit entry markers in the past. The thing is we see some of these battles at Panorama on that back straight. If you're off your line, if you don't get that outside swing as you come up over that little rise, you've got to back way down or you're going to throw it into the grass. And that's not somebody taking them out on purpose. But to your point, find another marker, one that's stuck there for good that nobody can take out. A tree, a fence post, whatever it might be.
It's just how I feel about it. The thing, at the same time, Bathurst is a pretty harrowing place to race, and I can understand. People are trying to find every little thing that they can rely on to try and increase the likelihood that they'll put up decent performance and also survive at a track like this. But I'm just hoping that people have at least wisened up to the idea of using permanent markers for brake references and turn-in references. But we'll see. Real quick, I just wanted to report in Kenny O'Connor posting up that 2:04.367 to get us started here in qualifying.
Yeah, not a bad opening volley.
And he's sitting in third in the AM class. Now, talking about Pro-Am, you mentioned Justin Secco, Matty. Took first in 3 races this season, round 2, round 4, and round 6. In between there, a P3, P4, and round 3, a bad finish, P12, getting scooped up in an incident that ended up cutting him off right there. But as you said, pretty consistent with 3 wins and an extra podium in there. Gian Cardoso, 1 win, but 1 win this season, which was at round 5, I believe it was Alton Park. Also able to take P2 in round 1 and round 3. So again, a lot of consistency there. A little bit lower, just like Justin had during this season, but overall very good. Steven Tomazic, no wins for him this season, but that consistency is held. And Phil, I know you and I during Recovery Drive, we talked about this a little bit. I think more than any other track, and there are others that are just as bad, but let's compare it to the Spas or the Paul Ricards and places like that. Those tracks, Spa is very challenging, but most of the corners, you have a decent runoff, right? You've got a pretty decent runoff. You can get the car, if you do go off track, if there is a push, there's any kind of punt, you have an opportunity to pull yourself before you've hit a wall, right? You can shut the car down before you've hit a wall. That option does not exist around most of Bathurst. And I think that's why this track, more than any other, I don't care how fast you are, you can be, you can be Justin Secco. You can be one of our AM drivers who is slower. Like, I'll just use myself. I won't even pick on anybody. I'll just use myself. I'm a slower driver. I probably run 206s or so around this track. And I know I should be faster than that. But you know what? Kind of like, I make it around. I survive. Because of the consistency versus the speed.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where survival is the most critical. It's the critical aspect of performance around Bathurst, because it doesn't matter how fast you are on track. It doesn't matter what your single lap pace is or your race pace is. The person that spends the least amount of time in the pits has a better shot of winning at a track like Bathurst than the fastest guy who ends up putting it in the wall. Mm-hmm. So, keeping it clean, keeping it consistent is going to be the like I said, the critical piece to the puzzle here. The other thing is, with the temperatures the way that they are right now in the Pro-Am race, we're dealing with a 60-minute race with the mandatory pit stop and fuel. They're going to get an opportunity to change boots at least once, and I think tire degradation is going to be tough around here. But with the 60-minute race, there's going to be a little bit of cushion for the Pro-Am and AM drivers. Pro and Silver, though, You get up to that 90-minute tire dag around here at a track like Bathurst, it's going to be tough to manage, especially as you start to get in situations where maybe you're getting into some sliding, maybe you're getting a spin or two, and if you scuff up a nice new set of shoes before you actually get to put them to good use, it's really going to kill your performance around here.
Yeah. And Huff, don't harass me. I was told it's like Beckham, so I said Seckham. That's what I was told.
Yep.
By Justin himself.
Yeah.
So Huff's in the chat giving me a bunch of grief and aggravation. So
you would think that, Huff.
And Justin has not yet left. We got a bunch of drivers here who have not even left the pits yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious
playing
about
the waiting
that.
game.
Are they gonna backstart, you think?
I don't know. I don't know if the strategic backstart is the way to go. Although we are only seeing AM drivers that are posting times right now. Jay's right on top of that 2037.
Okay.
Maybe they split them up.
They split them up.
Are they giving the AMs a bit of time before the Pro-Ams get out on track?
Yeah, I didn't know they were. I didn't know. Yeah, they're doing. Huff just said in the chat they're doing a split quali. I did not realize they were doing a split quali here today.
Well, that is going to be fantastic for us because we're going to get to really laser focus in on these different categories as they're out on track right now. Bruce Hopkins with that 2034 posting very good figures right now. Again, 2034, that was I believe that was the fastest lap time in free practice before we jumped into the quali session. Now, I think there were a lot of people that were in the pits not showing their true pace or sandbagging. Mm-hmm. So we're going to see like qualification is the nowhere to hide moment in terms of your actual pace. So Bruce Hopkins, though, in AM at least, making a statement. Well, 3/10 up on Jace Wright.
And we should point this out, right? Bruce Hopkins currently running in 5th in the standings. He's missed 2 races. Mm-hmm. The 4 he has been here for, 50% of them, he finished 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems to have the pace in class as long as he can stay out of trouble. And it seems from what I've seen, it's not necessarily always his trouble that he gets into. He tends to get caught up into, being a victim of other incidents on track sometimes. But when he can get a clean race, it seems like he's got a really good pace compared to some of the other Ams, and even up there with some of the Pro-Am drivers.
That's kind of my assessment with Bruce. He's the retired race team Ferrari. He's genuinely a good person, really a cool customer. Does tend to get involved in some shenanigans on track. Most of the time it's just bad luck from what I can tell. Indy was shocking. Like, it was just really bad luck. A little bit of contact threw him to the back of the pack, and then it just seemed to just get worse and worse for Bruce. So I'm hoping to see a Fezza closer to the top in this race for AM. So I'm pulling for Team Hopkins in AM to go make a statement here. Jace Wright, though, is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I mean, again, take a look at the number of first place finishes Jace has got.
Same thing.
Take a look at the points and what could have been for either Bruce Hopkins or Jace Wright had luck been a little bit different, had there been more opportunities to race.
Well, and we talk about consistency. Jace Wright, again, missing 2 races just like Bruce did, right? So all things being equal, they've both been here for 4 races. Jace Wright placed 2nd in 2 races and placed 1st in 2 races.
2-1-1. Yeah, that's pretty solid finishes when you show up 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. So he is going to be the competition. Someone asked in chat how many are racing in the Pro-Am class. Pro-Am class is everything tagged in gray. The car number tagged in gray on your screen right now are all Pro-Am drivers. Yep. All the AM drivers have finished their qualification run.
I count 12 of the Pro-Ams there.
Yep, from P9 down is all Pro-Am today.
I have a question. Jester Floomp is currently leading the AM class in points. Is he here today?
I do not see
Does
him
he
right
just
now.
have a different name? Yeah, so that's tough because it's a very tight lead over Steven Music there in the points. So that's the other thing is running a consistent race there for Music could help him take just clinch an overall there, just due to having, if you look at it, he's one of the 2 racers that's been at every round so far, and it shows in the points.
Yeah, I mean it's it's one of the tighter fields in terms of the breakdown here. I mean, you've got it all the way down to P4 in striking distance of P1. So depending on how the finish works out, like we could see Jace Wright walking away with a title if he could make it work.
He could,
And it's a double points
Steven,
race if I'm not.
Yeah, it's
right?
double points race. So really, Jester Flume
Okay.
is out of first. No matter what happens today, it does not matter which one of these AM class drivers wins. Jester Flume is not in the top 3 after this race. All Steven Music has to do is Steven Music just has to finish. Really, I mean, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to pull up the scoring right now, but in class with only 8 drivers on track, he really only has to finish this race, and he will clinch first.
He's got about 22 points in the standings on Kenny O'Connor.
Yeah, and when I say clinch first, I mean he's definitely going to be ahead of Flume. I don't know how the other, however, depending on how the other points work out.
Seeing the next 3 behind, the next 2, I guess, Kenny O'Connor, Jace Wright, where they're going to finish could really play into that. So it really is either of those 3 could walk away with the overall championship today, which makes this pretty exciting to watch for an hour for sure.
So speaking of Justin, we're going to follow him around the track here, and when he gets back to the start-finish line, let's go on board with him. So anybody in chat who doesn't know why we talk so much about Mount Panorama will be able to see what a lap on this track looks like. Yeah, Lewis, as far as total in the server, we don't break drivers out on the Discord server by class, so I honestly could not answer that question. I probably could. Actually, let me see. Let me put it this way. There were 13 signed up for the season in the AM class, and there were 18 signed up for the season in Pro-Am. Now, they don't, obviously not all of those drivers participated every week. Some of them never even started, but that's how many we had signed up to participate in Season 5.
Justin Seckham coming across that line, 2:03.057 to put himself up in the divisional pole here.
That first Pro-Am lap. I guess not. Kazubski set a lap at the 2:06.215 mark. Gian Cardoso, 2:04.430, so a good ways back off of Justin so far.
1.4 to work with.
Let's take a look at a lap around Mount Panorama on board with Justin Seckham.
Justin has really figured out Sim 4 this season. Just able to handle the car pretty much anywhere. M4 is going to be strong around Mount Panorama, I think, from a safety and consistency point of view. It's a front engine car. Bruce Hopkins with that, with the time that he posted, the 2:03.4, 3/10 off.
Yeah.
In the Ferrari. Ferrari is strong around Mount Panorama, but it is also a death trap. Watch in the race, especially when you're looking at the mid-engine cars. You're looking at the Ferrari, the Honda, the McLaren. When they make that weight transfer at Skyline, depending on the angle that they get in the downhill section as they go towards the dipper, do they have cars next to them? Do they have cars ahead or behind that they're trying to deal with? Get off your line, strike that curb before the dipper in the wrong way, and you just end up in the wall in the fastest way possible, and probably back to the pits in the fastest way possible. So it's going to be critical for the mid-engine cars to try and, maximize consistency, especially at the peak of the mountain.
Well, another thing that's going to be critical today for all the drivers, no matter what car they're driving, and something that we haven't talked about yet, is starting that downhill section. You have got to pay attention to yellow flags. Yeah, 100%. Because if you're
blind corners coming down that hill.
Yeah, if you're yellow flagged in that sector, forget about it. Justin breaking down into the 202s for the first time today. If you get a yellow flag in that sector, more than likely that car is sideways across the track. You might as well almost not. I wouldn't say come to a stop, because that's going to cause more heartache. But you've got to come way down and really know what you're looking for as you come around each corner, or you're just going to add to the chaos.
Even best case scenario, they're pinned to the wall, parallel with the wall. They're still going to be in an exit or an entry to a corner. It's so narrow, there's not room to maneuver. And like Phil was saying, the weight transfer, when you make one of those snap decisions of, I got to get out of the way of this car that just spun in front of me, that can create more issues where now you've lost control in a point where losing that weight balance of your car is really critical. You can't afford to have that happen, and it'll pile on.
And looking at chat.
Go ahead.
Oh, so I was just going to say, looking at chat, G. Kuba not going to be on track today for the race. Very disappointed. Very
Yeah, it's
sad.
unfortunate.
He's not going to show up. Not going to show out for the mountain.
Real quick, while we were looking away, Cardoso improved his time, but again, we got an 8/10 spread all the way down to P7. Burke beat in the AMG. Again, another strong car, slick in a straight line, front engine, 0.07 of a second off of Justin second.
This is so tightly packed, and Bruce Hopkins still starting this race in 4th right now.
Yeah, and with 3/10, if that 3/10 can transition over to the race, Jace Wright has got an uphill climb, figuratively and literally, to try and catch up to Bruce Hopkins in the Ferrari. But then again, Jace Wright, again, another M4. M4s, McLarens. Not so much McLarens in Pro-Am and Am, but M4s definitely have been so strong this season in Season 5 for Box 3 between both races. Really interested to see what kind of pace Jace Wright can unlock in this race, especially, again, dealing with a front engine car, a little bit safer, a little bit more consistent. Probably one of the best aero packages on a front engine car in ACC, bar none. So very interested to see what Jace Wright can do to see if he can close that down.
All I know is that currently the person currently sitting in 6th in the standings, Burke beat, sitting on the starting line so far. A few drivers yet to finish. Gian Cardoso we're watching right now, but not showing a lap up. I'm not showing any timing, which means he may have burnt the lap, and this will be his last opportunity. Oh, there it goes. He's up a 10th so far. So, but he's gonna need 8/10 to knock Burke off the front line of the start of this race.
So, just thinking about the race start in particular, Justin Seckham sitting with that provisional pole of a 2:02.367. The start of this race is going to be the thing that is going to set Justin Seckham up for success. He's got to get through Hell Corner ahead of Burke B, so that he can try and set the pace as they start to go up the mountain on lap 1. Get the tires into the window, get the pressures right, try and get as much mechanical grip out of the car, especially through this slow section of this track. That's going to be critical for Justin on lap 1.
So yeah, if he can get out, get ahead, he's got the pace to kind of open up the gap and keep himself out of trouble. So if he can just run a nice, clean, consistent race from there, that should set him up for a good run.
Josie Austin maybe struggled. Sorry, go ahead, Matt. I apologize.
No. I'm sorry.
Josie Austin struggled a little bit today, qualifying 15th right now, up 2/10. Cardoso up 3/10, 4/10 now coming through the corner, but that's not going to get him. That's not going to put him in the front row. That will put him in 4th, however, and we will have 4 Pro-Am drivers starting at the front of this race. There is Alex Martin. Oh, and a McLaren decided to just go hog into the corner. I don't know whose that was. Edward Walsh, it looks like.
It's going to be unfortunate if he gets hit with that ACC bug where his engine blows on the start.
All right. So Alex Martin.
Wait, is that a new thing?
That is a legitimate bug. If you yeet yourself into the wall before the race, basically what'll happen is when you start the formation lap, you'll be stuck in first.
The damage will come in.
The car will rev all the way up to max, and the engine will just pop.
No kidding.
Oh no, that's brutal.
Wow.
I mean, I've seen it happen in Sir Foch's streams on Twitch like multiple times. But
I stalled the Porsche in turn 1 at Hungaroring last night, and I was like, how did I stall? It's like the only car I haven't been able to stall in this, even with a manual clutch on.
Well, there it is, folks. We are set for today's first race of 2. Make sure you stick around if you're into the race, and we're coming back to the mountain for a 90-minute event, Pro and Silver class racing, right after this. And this might be the final race of Season 5. That doesn't mean we're done over at Box 3. First of all, let's talk about Xbox. The Shamrock Sprint, March 11th, kicks off. Get that out of the way. There we go. Shamrock Sprint kicks off on Xbox Series X and S. That's almost full, so if you haven't signed up yet and you are a console driver, please get over to the Discord. Get signed up.
We are looking
Multi-class.
forward to this race. It's going to be a lot of fun. Don't forget, you've got to have green as the primary color of your car, because it is our St. Patty's Day celebration. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And it is multi-class, right? I see GT3s, GT3s, and GT4s, correct?
Yeah, and they're both
Perfect.
filling up very quickly. If there's an open spot, I plan to race GT4. If not, we're going to test out spectator mode this week, and I'm going to see if we can attempt to do some sort of a stream for this one.
That would be fantastic.
If it fills up, it'll be a lot of fun to watch that. Xbox racing this year this season has been some top-notch racing. Our splits between our fast guys to our Miis down at the back of the pack it's pretty glaring. We don't have the numbers to be able to split it up like you guys do on PC, but everybody races really clean. I want to say we only had maybe 4 or 5 incident reports the entire 7-round series. So, everybody got along well on track and in Discord. So it's been a great group of people to race with. So we're really looking forward to a kind of no pressure off-season race like this. It should be a blast.
It'd be a lot of fun for you guys. Yeah, I wanted to bring that up too. Xbox has just been, Fife's mentioned on Recovery Drive. Xbox has just been super clean this season. To your point, you can only have 30 cars max on track for any race on console. So it's kind of hard to split classes with that and everything else. You're going to end up with 5 people per class or something. It really makes it difficult. But it's so good that everybody comes together and can have a lot of fun. So.
What our ultimate goal is to just grow the community enough where we can just have multiple splits running and just do a morning and an afternoon race like you guys do here on PC. Where me and Fife have been talking about some things that we can do to try to bring some parity to what we have to what you guys have, within the limitations of the platform, obviously. But we're really trying to grow. We get more and more people every time, and I think something like this will bring in. Because it's a one-off event, it'll bring in some new people that sign up on SimGrid and bring them to the Discord. They'll see how we get along, and hopefully they'll join us next year for Season 8, or next season, I guess.
Fantastic. Also, though, if we talk about special events, the 4 hours at Laguna Seca the next day, March 12th on PCACC, 1 4-hour race at Laguna Seca. No special rules like a green car, but we're going to be here for it right here on Twitch, so please come back for that. And we're going to wrap up Season 5, and, the Xbox guys still join us. There was no race this week, but they can still join us on Recovery Drive Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for now, Eastern Daylight Time very soon. Race
I'd like to see more of the Xbox guys post into the rig roast and get us involved with that, because some of us have some pretty nice setups, for sure. So I'd like to see some Xbox drivers getting highlighted for their equipment too.
So I'll tell you how the rig roast works. I kind of reset the whole channel starting in January because there were just so many and people had updated them and everything else, so it made it difficult to keep up. So I just said, hey, listen, if you haven't posted since January 1st, it's gone. Just post a new one for me. And it's been light so far. I'm hoping we get more people to post, but tell your Xbox guys, post it up, because what I do is I just go in order. I tag them with an emoji on the Discord, so I know I've already used them. And I literally go in order that they're posted in that channel. So tell those guys to post them up. I'd be more than happy to host all those.
Absolutely.
Gonna be fantastic.
I have a little bit of cable management to do now that I've got my PC set up, because I've watched enough of the rig roast to know that that's the first thing people are looking for. Is cable management.
Sir. We're coming at you.
And then from there, I've got some art, some decoration going on. I think I got a nice little setup going, but I can't wait to hear everybody else's thoughts about it. I'm working on that one this week.
I'll even be posting mine soon, once hopefully by the end of the week when my new monitor shows up. So let's get down to the brass tacks, though. We are ready for racing here at Mount Panorama today.
Look at that view.
Justin Seckham leading us out with Burke Beat sharing row 1. Robert Hepburn and Gian Cardoso row 2. Bruce Hopkins, an AM class driver, up there going to play with the big boys today. Going to share row 3 with Steven Tomazik, Jace Wright and Michael Zwanenberg. Row 4, Edward Walsh, Tristan Jonendijk. Row 5, your boy Blue, Kenny O'Connor in row 6. John Ruhlin, Alex Martin in row 7. Josie Austin comes back this week. Going to share row 8 with Michael Kazubski. Darrell Sainz-Taylor and Steven Music in row 9. Frank Reynolds, the Warthog himself, and Maria Kroyachkova in row 10. And Kirk McDaniels will bring up the rear at the start of this race. And I got to tell you, If I'm Kirk McDaniels, I'm liking my chances.
Yeah, well, again, like keeping it like consistent and clean on lap 1 around Mount Panorama. It's a white knuckle affair. Just going to be interested to see who survives because with double points on offer, you could really make a difference if you can just leave some extra space, maybe get a little bit of a later start, let the carnage happen in front of you. We'll see.
Well, Phil, I will tell
I think
you.
there's
And Matt, sorry, just real quick, I'll tell you this.
Yep.
And I don't know if you saw the message because I hadn't talked to you about being here today yet. But Phil, I did tell people on the Discord that if there is ultimate carnage in lap 1 and 2, we will spend the rest of the stream roasting everybody. We're just going to go to the replay view and we're just going to roast them constantly for the entire 60 minutes until the end of the race, and then we'll show the end of the race and then we'll move on. So they understand what's coming.
Be careful what you wish for, guys.
yeah.
So, I mean, I've seen, like, Mount Panorama is just one of those races where everybody is both mutually terrified of it and at the same time willing to risk it all. Yeah. I don't understand it personally. Like, I mean, I've seen races at the pro level where cars have piled up like it's like one of those Armageddon sci-fi movies. Mm-hmm. It's just it's bad. Just again, keep it safe, keep it cool. There's so much on offer in terms of points with it being worth double. Yeah, it's just you just got to play it safe.
And that's what I was what I was about to get at when I was interrupting you guys was I feel like it's a human nature tendency thing to want to go 110% on lap 1 and set yourself up with that position. But I think you really have to think about the fact that it is an hour race. An hour is a long time for other people to make mistakes, for just the race in itself to unfold in front of you. And you're not going to win it on lap 1. I mean, unless you're on the front row and you can just get out and dominate from the beginning.
Well, we are great now.
Anybody in the middle there.
Sorry,
anybody in the middle there.
Maddie. We're just we went green, so it's on.
Sorry.
And some contact back here already. John Rulin, Josie Austin falling back with a little bit of contact there. Steven Tomazik taking up P6 very quickly, but Justin Sacombe, Burke Beat decides I'm going to tuck right under you to head upstairs. Let's go. Let's take this up the hill together.
Blue got nailed with a drive-through penalty, probably for a race start infringement of some type.
Yep.
Here we go into the mountain.
Justin Seckham able to hold on to that P1 spot, but Burke Beat is right there. Now, Beat in the chat earlier saying, I'm not supposed to be up here. I don't know how this happened, but it looks to me like he's doing just fine so far.
Looks well-deserved to me.
And you watch how close these cars get to these walls as they come around, using every ounce of that track, a little bit of curbing. Oh, it's fantastic, but it's so nerve-wracking. I've said it so many times about Bathurst that it's this downhill where we're heading now, watching Justice Sacombe come into the downhill.
He saves it.
Himself.
Saved it.
Oh my goodness, man.
That was.
Oh man.
Let's back up
what is
here.
he gonna do? What is he gonna do with the added weight in the bottom of his seat?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Looks like he's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it looks like he's back in focus. He's closing the gap back up.
Somebody. I think that might have been Steven Music into the wall at Forest Elbow. Not sure how much damage he's got. I'm just going to take a peek while you guys are chatting it up.
Yeah, he's got the front of the car does not look healthy, so he definitely had some struggle there. Jace Wright takes up P6 from Steven Tomazik now.
Yeah, we're going to see if he's going to go ahead and take the pit stop. He's got to take a mandatory pit stop. There is no pit window, so it could be to his advantage to take the pit early.
Well, there's still traffic.
Yeah.
Get the damage fixed, get tired. I mean, I don't know that I'd bother doing tires after one lap, but...
Staying out. Burke dodging a bullet there on the descent into Dipper. What did I tell you guys? But then again, too, what also did I tell you? Front engine should have been like the safest approach, but again, Burke just... The weight transition and strike that curb, and then the car just started to... The back end started to step out on him. He did touch the wall on the inside on approach to the Dipper, but I don't think he got enough damage on the car for it to necessarily warrant a pit stop.
Oh, Tristan Jonendijk, a push. I can't tell what happened. It's Edward Walsh and Tristan Jonendijk making contact. But and Jonendijk jumps
Pulling
back
off and
to
going
the
to the
pits.
pit.
Wow, just like that. But now we got Michael Zwanenberg and your boy Blue. Got to pull this camera back. It's so hard to see going up the mountain.
Bunch of contact, it looks like, towards the back there.
Yeah, I'd say we had some issues towards the back.
If we got Terrell Scenes Taylor sideways on the exit of the cutting in the Honda. I don't know if he's going to get the car started or what. He's starting to Austin Powers it. Now he's moving. Hopefully that's not enough damage to take him out of the race.
Bruce Hopkins now under pressure from Jace Wright. Now, I said this yesterday on a different race that I was covering, that basically, look, you can't win this race on the first lap, a 60-minute race, but you sure as hell can lose it.
You can. Oh man, a moment there from one of the McLarens, Cardoso, and Bruce Hopkins on the inside, now on the outside as they get ready to go into Murray's corner. Jace Wright going to play follow the leader.
Wow, yep.
Bruce is trying to squeeze him. These two have come together more than once.
Little door banging there. Jace giving Bruce the nudge, letting him know, I'm coming through. It's mine now. So now the question is, can Bruce Hopkins take that position back from Jace Wright? These guys both very, very strong in the 4 races they've been here. Jace Wright P2 twice, won the last 2 races in class. But Bruce Hopkins no slouch with 2 wins this season as well and a 3rd place finish.
I will say it now. Cooler heads will prevail here. Like if I'm Hopkins, I'm looking at Tomazic behind. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what is the pace reference, race pace for Tomazic relative to me? Honda, a little bit faster in the straight line than the Ferrari. Ferrari, I would probably say, is not that much weaker than the Honda around here. Ferrari should be able to put in faster lap times than the M4. Maybe the case is just go ahead, and if you feel like you're under pressure for Tomazic, let him go. See if he can pressure Jace Wright into making a mistake. Try and capitalize. But this is the race where it's like cooler heads have to prevail. Jace Wright's all over Cardoso right now, like it's his job.
Catch up with Cardoso and Jace Wright. Jace Wright taking the opportunity. Cares nothing for class today at the mountain and says, I need to put some space between myself and Bruce Hopkins as quickly as possible. Now, this is what I was talking about before, though. You see, Jace didn't get that wide swing. Oh, and a push there from Cardoso sends Jace Wright out into the grass. Bruce Hopkins going to get that position back, and Jace Wright falling back very far. Cardoso missing the break point and going right into him.
That is very unfortunate for these guys. Like, I don't know if it was Cardoso wasn't ready for the amount of speed he was going to be carrying into the chase because of the draft or what, but that was not a soft tap.
No, not at all.
We got a bunch of cars going in the pits now. Don't know if it's for damage. Don't know if people are going to try and punch the ticket, get that mandatory. Yeah, get the stops done, do the long run, try the mega undercut, and see if it works out for you.
Throw up that.
I mean, in general, 60 minutes on a set of tires is fairly doable, but it is relatively high track temperature, and it's a track that's tough on tires. And you have to kind of maybe account for a spin or a lockup here or there as well. So a super early undercut to me seems a bit risky as a strategy, but if you feel you can be consistent and you can carry the tires for where are we at, about 50 minutes still, you don't have to worry about when everybody else is going to pit. Oh, what just
Steven
happened
Tomazic threw himself into the wall.
I think that was just Honda things.
No contact.
Just lost the
right there.
The edge of grip.
Puts himself into the wall.
I'm gonna guess he probably came off that curb and just kind of was hooked in and couldn't get back out of it.
Alex Martin's struggling down the hill now too. No clue what happened.
What's he trying to avoid? Was there still somebody maybe parked over there?
Sure.
Adam, I don't know why you're telling me that in the chat. That sounds scary though, and just a little creepy. I'm just going to leave it at that. We check in with Justin Seckham, currently running in first. Burke beat now back by about 3 seconds. So Justin has opportunity here to just run his race for the next 51 minutes. And this is where we talked about that consistency. Obviously, he's very fast, right? He's leading this race. He's got great lap times in qualifying. His best lap so far of this race, holding purple at a 2:03.3. So very fast. And this is what I've always talked about when we talk about fast drivers versus good drivers, right? Justin Seckham, I think, is one of those guys who's both. He's both a good and a fast driver. And if anybody doesn't know what I mean by that, I'll be happy to explain it.
It's so hard to beat those people. Yep. That's for us in Xbox. That's Fife. He's good and he is fast. And when he's there, it's hard to beat him. And so my take on this is if Burke Beat can stick in Seckham's mirror at least until the pit stops, pit strategy could really play into this, and it can give him a shot to still be challenging for the win towards the end of this race. 3 seconds is a bit of a gap, but it's not unreachable in my opinion.
And I know, Matty, you haven't been here with us, but Phil, how many times this season have we watched a race come down to the pit stop?
Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah,
Too many times.
Way more than one occasion where the ending of that race came down to that pit stop, and that's what was made all the difference.
Now, are the tires mandatory? Is it just going to be a 30-second timed pit stop, or can you do a splash and dash situation?
I took a look at the info page, and it says tires and fuel mandatory.
Oh no!
Frank Reynolds throwing himself off track right there, trying to keep ahead of Blue. Your boy Blue's his pressure's working. Now here's the thing: if I'm Frank Reynolds, what do I care what Blue's doing? We're not in the same class. If that pressure's that bad, let him by. I'd rather save my race and make the entire hour than get pressured by a different class driver and end up, maybe throttling myself out a little bit.
That's a good question. I'm not really sure why. You're my Blue. Blue, you're my boy Blue in the Schmidt Motorsport Bentley now. Looks like he might be getting to line up for move. Yep, into the chase. This can be pretty harrowing.
Woof. You see the cutback on that car. Wow. Blue brought that thing back across the nose of Frank Reynolds.
That heavy front end of that Bentley, it'll let you kind of do some things like that.
So you were talking before about Burke being in the mirrors of Justin Seckham. I don't know if that's possible right now, because the times that Justin is lapping relative to Burke, he's nowhere. He's nowhere to be found. He's got a 3.1 second gap, and last lap from Justin was a 2:03.4. Last lap from Burke was a 2:03.6. It is. It looks like almost a 4/10 on average advantage Steckham. So, yeah, Burke's going to have to really dig deep and find something if he's going to take a shot at this race. But right now, Justin Seckham setting the pace.
Nightcore in the chat says, let the roasting commence. I don't think it's been that bad so far. We've had some incidents, but we haven't had the pile up. We haven't had the insanity. Half the stuff we've seen, people have done it to themselves. There wasn't contact there, right?
Yeah, it's the compounding mistakes where somebody gets into trouble, and then the unsafe re-entries and the trying to push to get that position back, things like that we're not seeing that. I think it's more, man versus mountain at this point is where the troubles are lying.
Justin Seckham beating his own fastest lap with a 1:03.175. Josie Pitt, sorry, where'd it go? Josie Austin. I meant to say Josie Austin in the pit lane for a little bit of an extended period there, it seems. Fixing damage.
Yeah, it almost doesn't make sense to even pay attention to the pit timers around here for Mount Panorama because it's like, did they take fuel? Did they take tires? Did
Yeah.
they take an entire front end? No
Right?
one knows.
Nobody knows. But it looks like John Rulin is about to be under pressure from Michael Kazubski. Again, different classes coming together here. Maria Kroyachkova showing yellow, but still on track, which is good there. Maria running in 10th right now, so a great turnout for her.
You should check out that positions gain chart.
I was just going to bring that up here in just a few minutes. Actually, a few seconds. Let's bring that up right now. Position delta for today's race so far. Justin Seckham, Burke Beat, both able to hold on to their spots. Gian Cardoso up one, Bruce Hopkins up one, both to the detriment of Robert Hepburn. But we were just focused on him a minute ago, and let me go back there. John Rulin up 6 spots, and Michael Kazubski behind him up 8 today. And how about Maria?
Up 11. I mean,
11 slots today.
So she started in the backs and now up mid-pack. And to me, that just shows that driving a clean race and not getting involved in other people's stuff. And if you could just win the war of attrition, sometimes it can help you gain some helpful spots for sure.
100%. But now she is about to come under pressure from your boy Blue as John Rulin heads to the pits. It looked almost like he had to teleport. That's curious.
It's unfortunate for John. He was doing really well. To answer Nicor's question in chat, do you move your car into the line of another car that's driving by on the mountain section? Yeah, that's unsafe. In my book, that's unsafe. You're going to get a penalty for it. Now, if you're sitting there and you're sideways and you can do nothing about it, that's that's 2 cars come together under that circumstance. That's just bad luck.
Well, let's take it to a different track, but a very similar situation coming up the hill at Watkins Glen, right? We saw that happen last season with Retro, where he got dinked, he got spun sideways. He did what he needed to do, which was hold his brakes because the entire pack was coming up that hill behind him. Now it turned into a complete smorgasbord of car parts once they were all done because nobody got the yellow flag, nobody heard the yellow flag, nobody slowed down. But Retro himself did the right thing. He sat still, and he just happened to get spun sideways in a place on that track where there was a wall on each side of the tracks, right? So it's kind of the same thing here.
That spot on Watkins Glen it's a funnel, and it's a very high speed, and it's through those S turns, so you're not able to see coming up the hill everything that's happening 2 turns ahead of you. And so those things, when you're not getting those flags, can definitely take you out. But it's the same here with Panorama, especially going down the hill. Whether you see the flag or not, sometimes if it happened right in front of you, it's going to be tough to catch and avoid it because the cars are going to bounce back and forth, depending on how things are going.
Steve, music sideways. Looks like on the entry to McPhillamy Park. Looks like he finally got going straight.
Terrell Saints Taylor was turned as well.
That was tough.
Even music able to get it going back downhill. So I love the cameras at Panorama. They're awful because you click on thing, then suddenly the cameraman realizes, I'm not pointed at the car I was supposed to be pointed at. Hold on, give me a second here, and it just swings the camera through the trees.
What you didn't realize is that the camera persons around the track were also filming nature documentaries at the same time. So
looking for birds.
That formation lap, the helicopter view as everybody was coming up to Skyline that's quite the sight, to be honest with you. I'd be distracted if I was the cameraman myself.
That Panorama, one of my favorite tracks to drive on.
Oh, and your
absolutely love it.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's 100%. Your boy Blue able to take position from Maria Kroyachkova. Finally find his way around. He had backed way off up on the hill and decided to play it safe. And that's the kind of move you like to see, right? I've got time. I've got 42 minutes. I don't need to be in a hurry to take up P9. Let's get off the mountain and let's go dance on the straight and in normal corners where at least if something happens, there's a little bit of runoff.
Yeah. I mean, that all tracks for me. It's for me the most fun about this track is actually going through out of the section.
Mhm.
I love street circuits. I love tracks like Bathurst, Belle Isle, Long Beach. I like walls because there's no you can't argue with the wall.
Yeah.
Like go too wide, go too far off track, and you pay for it. So it really sharpens the mind if you're willing to focus on it.
Well-defined track limits sometimes help you figure out how to drive a little bit better.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I have very limited time here on Bathurst. I very, very limited time, and all my time is on Xbox, but this is a track that intimidates me just from the fact that I know it's very uncompromising. You can't be inconsistent and have a good long session here.
I've raced this track a bunch competitively, and I love it. It's one of my favorite places to go. One of these days, I want to do the supercars and iRacing here. Not good with the supercars at all. My right foot has the IQ of 10. So it's really hard to drive a car with a locked diff and no traction control when your foot has like the reading level of like a 3-year-old. So
Do you have the binary right foot? It's an on-off like
I
me?
do. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It really is. It really is. It's not so much it's not really so much like I'm in the digital age with my right foot. So I wish it were more in the analog age, but
Yep, yep. I've been driving the Porsche recently, and it's forgiving because it likes a little bit of extra get on it out of to settle in, get a little bit of traction out of the corners. So it's suiting my driving style. A lot of people seem to think that it's a hard car to drive, but I feel like it's the closest thing to driving a go-kart, with a roll cage that you're going to get in this game.
Holy cow, your boy Blue making moves. Alex Martin threw it off into the dirt a little bit, gave Blue the opportunity. Now Blue up into P8 just like that after passing Maria Koyachkova on the last lap. So, I don't know, maybe Blue likes the mountain as well?
yeah, I mean, he was looking for. He's trying to chase P7 back down again. 14.9 back. I'm kind of curious what happened that resulted in him to drop so far back. But yeah, Blue is starting to really put it together here on the mountain, and the Bentley's not an easy car to drive around here.
Well, the only problem for Blue, though, is really his target for the season. If we talk about for the season, it needs to be Robert Hepburn. Hepburn currently running in 5th, so that's a lot of. that's still 3 spots.
No.
No! As we talk about, I told him I was going to commentate, curse him right into the ground. No, I didn't tell him that, but luckily able to get out of the way, loses both those spots, and almost.
And it looks like another
Possibly
there
another
as well.
one. Yep.
Looks like Walsh got through. Did he?
Still showing. No, Walsh still behind him. So, yeah, Walsh is 40 seconds back. So, quite a gap there. But Blue tossing the wall.
He's definitely going to be taking that mandatory pit stop now. He's probably going to have to do something about the front end of that car. Yep. That was a solid whack.
And
visibly, it doesn't look too bad, but
listen, I will take the blame for it because the whole Discord's going to blow up now, saying that I cursed him. So let's just get it out of the way now. I absolutely cursed Blue. The hood's pushed up pretty good. I mean, it's not. I've seen worse, obviously. Like Matt, like you said, it's not the worst we've ever seen. But 38 minutes left in this race. Why not? And there he heads into the pits. Why not get that cleared and be out and be done and then just stay out for the rest of this?
Well, and like Nightcore said in the chat too, the bonnet's flapping in the breeze, so that honestly, it visibly is distracting, and also it's going to provide a significant drag when you're going through those long straights to the finish there.
The last
where
thing
you really can't afford.
The last thing the boat needed was another sail.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Those valuable kilometers an hour on those straights are gonna, the pace is dictated by the mountain going up and down the hill, but those straight line speeds are I think what's going to help. I think that's where you can gain lap time here, as long as you can do the rest of it consistently.
So I'm curious here about Bruce Hopkins right now. Hepburn now closing down almost within a second as they get ready to go into the chase. If I'm Hopkins, I'm letting him go.
No, but see,
Getting tighter and
in this
tighter with
case,
that
hold on.
draft too.
You know what? In this case, I disagree with you, Phil, because I thought the same thing up front. But here's why: if I'm Bruce Hopkins, I'm gonna push this. Bruce Hopkins is an AM class driver this season.
Yeah.
And right now he has opportunity to cut his teeth with the Pro-Am and bump up class for next season, right? He's already got this. I mean, look, unless these two come into contact, he's already got this race locked. He does not have to worry about it. The next AM driver is in P11, Jace Wright, sitting back there, right? Bruce Hopkins currently running 5th on the season. Jace is way far back. Granted, in class, going to be still behind him. Bruce should be able to jump ahead of him in the standings. And there we see Robert Hepburn gets around. But yeah, my thought this time was more, you know what? I'm probably going to bump up next season. Let's see if I can dance with these guys a little bit.
Hey,
So
nothing, for sure.
Let me push back on that idea a little bit though. Is that yeah, sure, you could test yourself to see and try and cut your teeth relative to the Pro-Am class in terms of pace. But if Bruce Hopkins feels like he doesn't have much to prove to Pro-Am in terms of pace, you want to cut your teeth and show people that you're better than Pro-Am, be smarter.
True.
Be smart, yeah.
Don't disagree with that
and
sound.
that's the thing is, if you feel like you're being pushed by the driver who's up a class at this point, let him by and then keep pace with him from behind. You're not losing a place in
And
class.
we got a car sideways on the mountain.
That's Cardoso.
Is that Cardoso? Yes, it is.
Cardoso.
It is.
Yep. And so Hepburn's going to get around Cardoso. I hope Cardoso doesn't have the damage. Hopefully, isn't too
Ooh.
bad.
I don't know. I can't tell from that livery to see. We'll try and pick him up as he comes down. Yeah, there's some wonk there to that hood. I don't know how much, but a little bit at least.
There is definitely some wobble step now.
Yep.
So Robert Hepburn takes up P3 in class and in this race over Gian Cardoso, as Justin Seckham just keeps setting purple laps. He's like, I gotta get a 202 this race. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I think he's, as the fuel burns down, I don't see why he couldn't break down into the 2s, because he's right on the verge anyway. But is it worth it to push for that extra 10th here or there, or just run the nice, clean, safe race now at this point with, where's he got almost 8 seconds in the lead over Burke Beat right now. So, he's doing what he needs to do at this point. Do you continue to push, or do you just let the pace naturally come to you and hope you get down into there? I've got to guess he's probably not chasing lap times at this point.
For sure. Michael Zwanenberg able to get clear of Gian Cardoso as Cardoso heads into the pits. Michael Kazubski in the pits right now. We're heading into the pits. So our top 10 drivers going to start heading in here to clear those pit stops. Pay no attention to the numbers on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. That pit stop counter may be inaccurate because I didn't turn it on at the very beginning of the race. So
It does look like, with the exception of Cardoso and Kazubski, the top 8, so 6 of the top 8 still have yet to clear a mandatory pit stop.
yeah, and I'm showing John Rulin having not cleared one, but if I look down, John has been into the pits. So
he has. I wonder if he did not
But if he
either
didn't take fuel or tires,
Yeah.
if he just went in for damage, that's not going to clear the mandatory pit stop. So
but it would, but it still would on my screen. That's what I'm saying. Because the software doesn't take that into account. It just says, did you go in the pits? Were you there for 30 seconds? Okay, I'll clear that and make it green. So
okay. So I'm wondering too. Can you see what's the gap between Bruce Hopkins and Jace Wright on track currently? Because Jace has cleared his pit stop and Bruce is not.
So Jace Wright, I'll get you that.
you might be.
Here,
Yeah, you can get that. You have pit wall up, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
Exclamation pit wall in the chat right there if you want live timing, ladies and gentlemen. You can find all that stuff.
I mean, for the kids at home, cover your ears. Does bear shit in the woods?
Bill is the master of numbers. Let me tell you.
I love data. I'm a data nerd, so.
Oh, you got to get pit wall there.
Give me
man.
more
That stuff's
numbers.
Crazy. I don't have screen real estate for it. So, and with Phil here, I let him run the pit wall.
I mean, we're talking a minute 29 behind.
Okay, so that's again, that keeps Bruce pretty safe there. He's not going to have to be too concerned about losing class position like we were talking about earlier. In the chat, what's the move? Undercut or overcut? What do you guys think?
It depends on traffic. Like if I'm Justin Seckham, I'm gonna start diving into the pits when I start really hitting some significant traffic in front of me. If that happens to be before Burke takes the bite, so be it. Around Mount Panorama in particular, I let traffic normally dictate whether or not the overcut or undercut works. And with the way this field has already spread, it really is about looking at that track map. Like you can't judge it based on your fuel loads and your setups and all that other stuff. That's fine when you're racing at Spa. That's fine when you're racing at a track like Paul Ricard. That doesn't work here at Mount Panorama, in my opinion.
Yeah, because if I'm Justin,
Now,
I don't want to be playing back marker ping pong up on the top of the mountain.
That's what I was just going to ask, is how long do you estimate until he's going to start coming into some back markers?
Oh, he already is.
We're getting about the halfway. Oh, he's already in
we're watching
back
now.
markers now.
He's caught up to folks already.
Yep,
so looking to make a pass, coming back to the start-finish line and finishing this one.
This is a longer race than the normal standard format, but in longer endurance races, generally speaking, my philosophy is you never let the car you're chasing pit before you at the end. Like you always set the tone.
Come in behind them if they go in before you.
Exactly. Follow them in if you're in the window. You do not let them pit before you do, as much as you can control it. Because it's just a matter of, again, controlling the variables that you can control.
The way I look at that is they're going to come out, they're going to have a lap. Say you pit a lap behind them, they'll have a lap to get their tires up to working condition, and you're going to be, so any benefit you may gain by the overcut at that point is I feel lost. I agree. I in general, I think the undercut is generally the better move. Just from my experience, trying to go long and do a stop late is always worked out terribly for me.
Cardoso up the inside as we head up the mountain here and takes off a position from Alex Martin. Alex doing a good job for at least a lap here, holding Cardoso at bay. A little bit of a pace difference between these two, right? But Cardoso finally able to clear him out. So, and to Glendino in the chat, we're going to do that on board in just a moment. We were watching this battle, so I got to stick with the battles now that that's over. We can look to go on board with Jace Wright. Go ahead,
While
guys.
you're doing that, Burke B, just want to do a quick pit stop check-in. Leaving some time on the table relative to the rest of the field. I'm looking through the GT3 runners to take a look at their pit stop times, and it does look like about 3 seconds left on the clock for Burke.
Oh, wow.
So clocked in at a 109, go down to Kazupski, and he's got a 106.414 right now. I'm going to keep taking a look to see if I can find somebody who's holding that quickest pit stop time.
Justin Second heading in now, so you might have a new fast one. We'll see.
Maybe, yep. Pit times right now, just looking at, let's see. So in the box, it does look like Burke had a pretty decent time in the box. The problem is that line to line, he seemed to have lost time.
Maybe entered a bit conservatively just to not get the entry penalty.
Well, and let's face it, I mean, here at Bathurst, that's, not only is the mountain crooked and cornery, if we can call it that, the pit entry doesn't just swing in. You have to do like 3 S-curves to go in. Like whoever designed that was drunk that day, I'm pretty sure. I don't know what their problem was, but...
I'm pretty sure they were just trolling. So I would put Kazupski as the time to beat when it comes to pit stop coordination, because that 103 seems to be the time to beat.
Robert Hepburn in second
106
has headed into the pits as Seckham heads back out.
Go ahead, sir.
Beat was 109.
109, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a 6-second difference right there. That's pretty significant.
3. I had the time wrong initially. It's a 106 for Kazupski and then a 109 for Beat. So that should be about a 3-second. Well, actually more than a 3-second difference, but almost 4. Justin Seckham, a 111, 108. So leaving a lot of time
Well,
On the
yeah, a
tape.
bunch of time.
and now back out. Burke beat about 6.4 seconds back from Justin Seckham, now back out on track. So pit stops have been cleared. Walsh dropping back a good bit on his. So Robert Hepburn currently sitting in third. Bruce Hopkins, AM class runner, just right up there in fourth, doing a great job today. Jace Wright, who we are on board with right now, dropped one spot, but still second in class. Cannot be too disappointed with that. Again, he's had 2 second place finishes, 2 first place finishes this season. But this race with the double points, if Hopkins can hold on, maybe enough to put him ahead of Jace Wright. Meanwhile, Kenny O'Connor, currently third in the standings, going to be suffering back there in P20. You know, what, 7th in class?
That's tough because he was one of the ones that could have been fighting for the championship. So that means if Steven Music can just run his race, finish third, and that should pretty much lock him up from my quick rough calculations here.
Yeah, just taking a quick look, it should be enough for him.
The thing that I'm watching in this right now, I'm really interested to see how this stuff shakes out in Pro-Am class. Cardoso getting into that accident on the exit of Skyline, because Tomazic and Josie Austin, all capable of getting in striking distance, potentially unseating Cardoso currently doing Pro-Am, and Josie Austin is in front to the tune of 12.4 seconds.
Wow.
They're 9 points separated in the overall standings between the 3 of them. So that's very close, and let's see where are they in order right now? We've got
Cardoso sitting behind Josie Austin by 12, as Phil said, by 12 seconds.
Yep. I was looking for Tomaszak, and so he is still behind Cardoso. But yeah, that.
Look at this. Jace Wright able to clear Michael Kazubski. These guys not even in competition in class, but Jace Wright, the AM driver, able to clear Kazubski. Now, it looks like Jace is going to head right on, and he's like, you know what? I don't care. I'm after Hopkins. If I have to pass a bunch of upper class drivers, I'm going to go so I can get Hopkins.
He's got to. He's got no choice. I mean, we're looking at a 22-second deficit almost between them, so he's got to seriously make up some ground if he wants to take the fight to Hopkins.
And 24 minutes left to go. Great racing so far. A few incidents, but again, I think most of what we saw today were people doing it to themselves. We didn't see a lot of contact incidents. It was more about, folks hooking curbs, dinging walls up on the mountain.
Real quick, just wanted to highlight a pretty interesting fact right now. Just comparing Jace Wright after the pit stop with the damage, second stint, to Bruce Hopkins' first stint. So Jace probably cleared his pit, probably looking at the long run. So he's going to be on these tires for almost the entire race. He only got 4 laps in on the first set, averaging a 2:04.9 for average lap time. Bruce Hopkins, after 14 laps on his first stint, 2:05.8.
Wow.
Oh, so he's a second.
So it is almost a second quicker. Jace Wright is definitely someone to watch out for towards the end of this race.
But so you're saying, but Jace Wright is on old tires, but he's still doing a second faster?
He's got 12 laps on those tires. Yeah, he's got 12 laps on those tires. His average lap times is 2:04.9.
So now the question is, will they hold out for the remaining 23 minutes or so, and can he keep that pace for that whole time?
Well, that is one thing. Traffic's also the factor. Last lap from Jace Wright was a 2:06.2. But that could just be down to trying to get the move done on Kazubski. So if he can clear Walsh, or not Walsh, if he can clear the car in front.
Yep, that's Walsh. Yep, that's Walsh.
Is that Walsh? Yeah, so that's
Yeah, that could definitely open it up and give him a little bit more of an opportunity to try and close in on Hopkins a little bit more.
Here's a question for you guys. You're Walsh right now. Again, this is not a battle within class. This is not a battle for points whatsoever. Okay.
Are you defensive?
Do you, if you're Walsh and you're looking at the tower and you're going, you know what? I don't have to fight you. Why are you putting pressure on me? But then you look ahead and see Bruce Hopkins up there in Wright's class. Do you just let Wright by? Do you let him by and say, you know what, dude, go chase him down because I can tell you want this. Go have him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I would almost give up the spot to let somebody within the same class go fight another class member for a good battle at the end of the race.
I mean, look at
Now,
Wright. They're going side by side as they get ready to go
It
into
looks
the
like
into the
looks like
cutting.
he made it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
looks
and
like he
Jace
took
Wright
it
gets
anyway.
around.
Yeah, if I'm racing a guy that's playing that aggressive into the mountain section, I'm letting you go.
Yeah.
I'm letting you go. Because the thing is that again, it's about being being faster, being smart. I mean, if I'm Walsh, I'll be like, hey, you know what? You want to go delete yourself on the mountain? Knock yourself out.
Well, and also for Walsh, if you think about it, is the longer you're in this battle with somebody out of class, the more likely that P8 behind you is going to catch up and close that gap, and potentially, when you do finally let the slower, the faster driver through. Oh, what just happened there?
Hold up.
That's going to create some.
Back up here and see if we can
Definite
catch
drama.
that. Oh, there were cars. Who's that? The 428 car.
Is that traffic?
Yeah, that's traffic. Kenny O'Connor hung up in the corner with someone else.
Kenny O'Connor's had a rough race.
Yeah, he has. But he was hung up in the corner with someone else when these guys came through. It looked like they cleared without contact, though. So Jace Wright. But now Jace Wright has, how hard are you going to push here? Because he's got to make up, 26 seconds before he can get to Hopkins and get around Michael Zwanenberg.
20 seconds. Got to get 20 seconds down. And again, it's kind of the thing with Zwanenberg. It's like if Jace Wright can be intimidating enough, maybe he'll just jump straight out of the way. I don't know. But Jace Wright definitely the car to watch in terms of Pro-Am on what it's going to look like at the end of this race.
Mm-hmm.
He is certainly pushing it today. Wow.
You keep pushing if you're Jace Wright and try to close that gap. He's got, it looks like 16 seconds to Zwanenberg anyway. And then, and then you deal with that as that comes. But if Bruce Hopkins makes a mistake, you're there to capitalize on it. So there's no point in backing out, I don't think. If you've got the pace and the car's still feeling good, go ahead and push, I think, and try to close as much of the gap as you have there.
So the indicator I think for Zwanenberg to make that call is how long does it take for Jace Wright to catch up to him? Because by the time we get to the end of this race, Jace Wright's tires are going to have 9 more laps on them than Zwanenberg. So could be that he's like, you know what? Relative pace, you're not that much faster than me. I'm not going to let you get in front of me and slow me down. Because don't get me wrong, he's currently to the tune of almost 13 seconds back from Hepburn, but Hepburn is definitely not out of reach. So that's going to have to factor into his calculus.
I mean, Zwanenberg's closer to Hepburn than Wright is to Hopkins at this point. So when you want to talk about battling in class, are you going to give up track position, to let a battle unfold in front of you that's only going to separate you from the battle that you could be a part of at this point?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Everybody's got to kind of, they've got to do their own mental math on what's the risk worth taking.
And we did just lose Kenny O'Connor dropping off the server. Decided he is done for today.
It was such a tough race for Kenny. Like getting shuffled to the back of the order. That's a bummer for him.
Yeah. Checking on Justin second. Justin just running his race. Haven't seen him get hung up in a lot of traffic today. Rookie beat when they came out of the pits, about 6.5 seconds between them. Now Justin opening that back up to almost 10 seconds. So he's locked the pace down
time's
today.
Down to 2:04 now. But I'm guessing a lot of that it's down to just taking it easy and playing it safe at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, but almost a 6/10 difference between them. So Justin has definitely backed off, but I mean,
but he's got more pace than Beat does at this moment.
Yeah, like if I'm Burke, I'm thinking to myself like, you're what now? I don't know, 19
just
laps, 20 laps into this race. You might not want to bank on drama bringing this race to you. You might want to find something special and try and close this gap down quick.
Yeah,
dig down a little bit. Now I wonder. He said in chat earlier that he didn't feel like he deserved that second place quali. He didn't think he deserved to be up there, but he's proven, over this last 40 minutes to have enough pace to not get completely left in the dust. And he's run what seems to be a pretty clean race. He's got a good gap to third place there. So does he want to push? If you don't think you've got the pace to close the gap anyway, do you push yourself to make a mistake when you've already had a really good race that's beyond your expectations going in anyway?
Well, not just that, but if I'm Burke, I'm sitting in 6th in the standings right now, right? This will be in 2nd place, be my highest finish of the season, and will at least get me into the top 5 because I'm going to jump ahead of. Actually, should get him into the top 4 because he's gonna. And even, you know what? This might put him on podium. This is what I'm saying, because he's got Edward Walsh in front of him, but not by a lot, by 7 points, right? Which Walsh is sitting in class is sitting in 5th right now. So you've got Josie Austin, Josie sitting in class in P7, right? So that's what I'm saying. And even Steve Tomaszek sitting Tomaszek's in 13th right now.
Yeah,
so
he's falling back a bit.
Yeah, if I'm Burke beat, I'm sitting here going, best finish of the season, right? Not only is it my best finish of the season, but this with double points, this might be enough to jump me into the podium. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
How hard am I going to push? Am I going to throw my race? And Robert Hepburn's showing yellow. Just a split second. Oh my God, the camera's here. Yeah, and Hepburn parked along the side of
Maria Korechkova.
He had to slow down for Maria Korechkova parked on the side of the track.
Is she turned around backwards too? Is she facing up the hill?
No,
okay, she's with traffic.
She's
Okay.
facing the right way. I can't tell.
It looks like maybe stalled out.
Well, I can't tell if she's stuck in the wall or not.
Yeah,
Maybe there could be a bug where. Well, no, she's moving now.
I think she might have just been allowing people to get through. She was, doing the smart thing, watching the track map and.
Burke beat and your boy Blue making contact as Burke looking to clear back markers. So hopefully not enough damage there that it's going to cause Burke to need to take a pit stop or anything.
His gap did increase by about 4 seconds.
Yeah, now 12, now 12.8 back off of Justin second.
Car's got a little bit of scuff to the front, but by and large, it doesn't look too damaged.
No, the Bentley of Blue's Bentley is, I don't know, I saw a little warble in his coming out of the corner there at the bottom of the mountain.
No.
He's it looks like Blue's struggling a little bit to keep control of that thing.
Oh, it's just such a tough car to begin with, and in the mountain, especially right-hand drive, it's really tough. It is really tough.
Maria Korechkova into the pits, so obviously enough damage there, whatever happened. He's decided she needs to clear that up. Frank Reynolds needing to head in too. Looks like Frank got into a little trouble during the course of this lap. If we can get in on that hood. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Frank's showing a lot of damage on the front of that car.
So Jace Wright has taken, I want to say, almost 10 seconds out of... no, not quite 10 seconds. 7 seconds out of the gap to Hopkins.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know that it's going to be enough at this point. Less than 14 minutes left to go. I really don't think... Oh, and Hopkins dropping. Whoa, what's going on here? Hopkins getting hung up on the mountain. Let's back it up, see if we can catch it. Oh, of course, the camera here is just going to go stupid. Right there
what
it
a
is,
time
though.
for me to come back from break. Oh.
Bruce Hopkins coming down the mountain. We're going to... You know what? I want to go back these 30 seconds and catch it. He spun himself coming into the hairpin. Parked it against the wall.
Just the way that car works when the rear end gets unsettled. Like I was saying before, like the Ferrari is a tough car because the car gets unsettled and starts to snap, especially that little bump going into Forest Elbow. It's just such a tricky corner.
And there it is. Jace Wright is going to take up leader for the AM class as Bruce Hopkins heads into the pits.
Going into the pits.
He has to.
Got
probably
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Wright just needs to keep it up and just, it's you don't want to hope for a mistake. You don't want to plan on a mistake happening in front of you, but you want to be there to capitalize if it does happen.
He has done so as Bruce Hopkins continues to slide down the order. Hopefully,
It's unfortunate too because
of Stephen Music.
Hopkins was running a really good race up to that point.
Yeah, he was playing it smart, and didn't necessarily need to have the pace probably to bring it home, but just unfortunate luck.
Now Jace Wright going to be able to cruise. Josie Hopkins showing damage. Or I'm sorry, Hopkins right above her. Josie Austin showing damage. Bruce Hopkins continues to sit in the pits. See how long that stop lasts. Probably a good bit of damage there, front and rear of the car. Stick around, folks. We have another race coming up after this. Don't run out on us. The Pro and Silver class split coming up right after the completion of this race. We'll take a look at the current standings. See where we're going into this. It's going to get spicy because those drivers are, well, Silver's a little spread out, at least as far as first place goes. But the other two podium spots are wide open. Just wide open. We'll get to that coming up.
Something
here
just
in
happened
just a few
to
minutes.
Blue because I'm seeing his time just jumped from about a second or two behind Hopkins to 7 seconds, or is that just Hopkins being out on track?
That could have been the jump out on track.
So the field has really stretched now.
Mhm.
Like the closest battle on track is between Walsh and Wright, and I don't really feel like they're even fighting.
Yeah.
After that, you got what? Alex Martin trying to chase down Josie Austin.
But even there, a 4.5 second gap at this point. So things pretty well on and spread out.
So while we are getting a bit of a quiet moment in the race in terms of what people are doing on track, just wanted to double check again from the pit stop perspective. Man, that time from Zwanenberg is probably still the best in terms of pit stops. Well, actually, it was probably Kazubski. Yeah, Kazubski, still the top time. That 103 or the 106, 106.4.
6. Yeah. I was a little bit surprised with Justin Seckham being in a 111 for his pit stop time.
That's the thing though. Like, one of the weaker things I've seen from Justin this season is pit stop consistency. We've seen that from the strongest competitors pretty much in both races, if I'm correct, Adam. Is that the front runners are quick, but when it comes to just that pit stop consistency, they sacrifice so much time relative to their competitor.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier. There's just, we've had more than one event, more than one occasion, more than one race, more than one class. Probably, I would say close to five times, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Where the pit stop determined who won that race, 100%, because both drivers were consistent. They both had pace. They were kind of maintaining an equal gap out on track, and that gap was 1.5, maybe 3 seconds. And sure enough, pit stops hit, and guess what? The driver that was leading all of a sudden can't hit the pit box, takes a little too long, and we just had a flip-flop just like that. So
I think it's one of the aspects of the game that is taken for granted when people are practicing is that pit entry and pit stops and being able to nail that, because it, like you said, especially in a tight race, that can make all the difference. I know I've done it where you come in and you go a little bit past that box, and all of a sudden that's an extra couple of seconds just for them to rearrange you into the pit stop.
Yeah, it's just the pit stop consistency. The whole, I mean, that is just one of the many important characteristics of good quality racecraft. Like, you understand not only your car, how to unlock its pace, how to keep it consistent, keep it out of the wall, but then also how to govern yourself relative to the regulations of the format that you're racing in. That's the secret right there to quality racecraft. Is like Molson was saying. I mean, if you leave 3-6 seconds on the table and you lose the race by that amount, you got nobody to blame but yourself.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't the car, it wasn't the format, it wasn't the track, it was you. But
Jace
An
Wright.
accident with Jace Wright.
Yeah, Jace Wright giving Frank Reynolds a little bit of a nudge, but right in the corner, it's like, that. I know he was a blue flag, but it was in the corner. Like, you're coming into the straight, it'll be okay. Right? But Jace Wright is not having it. He's like, no, I got to open this up as far as possible. Ed Walsh able to get around as well. Edward Walsh about 1.3 back. We might get a little bit of a battle between these two here at the end. But again, if I'm Jace Wright, I don't know. Just let Walsh through. I don't.
Yeah,
I
at
don't
this
need
point,
to fight.
I'd just let them through. But these two have been together for the better part of the last 4 laps or so. So maybe they're just having some fun together.
I mean, it could be they're having fun together. It could be that Jace is one of those drivers that was born with 4 elbows and can't do anything but stick them out. It's just one of those. I mean, they're just drivers like that. That it's like they give no quarter on track. It doesn't matter if they're a lap down. It doesn't matter if you're in my class. It doesn't matter. Like to them, it's all about being towards the sharp end of the field. And the one thing I'll say to Jace's credit here is that the aggressive driving, he mounted a hell of a comeback after that lap 4 incident chase.
Yeah, I mean, he was way back there, and now to be up in 5th on track, 5th overall right now, and continuing to, looks like he can't tell if he's closing up the gap towards Wanenberg or not. But at this point, it doesn't really matter with less than 5 minutes to go. A bit surprising to me, honestly, that Bruce Hopkins was able to retain second in class after having to go in and fix all that damage. Just shows that he had a bit in the bank to begin with before his mistake. And
well, we've also lost 2 from the AM category in this race from the field. So that also definitely helped things out. And I mean, Steven Music has been involved in multiple, some not even of his own creation on track. So it's just one of those things where that's the risks you take when you race on the mountain.
Yep.
Love it. Speaking to Kevin Huffman, he is going to throw up provisional results for us as soon as this race finishes as we join the Pro and Silver race, so we'll be able to have a little bit of a sneak preview at what the end of the season might look like once this is wrapped up. 3 minutes, 50 seconds left to go. As we keep eyes here on Jace Wright and Edward Walsh. Josie Austin, Alex Martin. Martin closing in on, Martin closing in on Josie Austin. We'll keep an eye back there. As Tristan Yonendike goes yellow. But, okay, still on track. You got to check them when they go yellow, especially at Panorama. And there we go. Alex Martin, Josie Austin. Martin going to look to take up P9 here before the end of this race. Josie with just a little bit of, it looks like just a touch of damage on the front of that car. Not enough to slow her down, obviously, but just,
yeah, it's tricky, especially when you're dealing with damage on the car around here at Mount Panorama. I know somebody in chat mentioned before it's like the M4 looks fun around here. It's one of the better cars that I feel like you could drive in ACC or something that performs well and can be consistent. Its traction control system is pretty easy to navigate. It's got the best aero package its weight transfer does make it feel sometimes like a mid-engine car. But it is fun to drive around here. I've driven Mount Panorama. I've done the 12 hours of Bathurst at the M4. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just it's a pretty good car.
It's got fairly good straight line speed compared to some of the other cars in the game as well, which really helps you if you can get through the up and down hill side of it to really just capitalize on continuing out a good lap as well here. It has a little bit of everything. It's a bit heavy, so it's planted to the ground, but it's pointy enough to be able to be handleable. And,
it is a big car.
and it's pretty quick. It feels big when you drive it too. Like it's the same size screen as every other car, but for some reason when I sit in the driver's seat of that car, it just feels like a larger car.
Bruce Hopkins stuck at the top of the mountain here.
Oh no.
No, he's good. Let's back it up 30 seconds. I want to see where we can catch him here coming through, because something happened. He was yellow flagged, and it looks like, yep, I've done that before.
Yep. I think that's similar to the one that happened earlier on in the race, where you just kind of hook that curb, and it doesn't let you back out of it. You just stay at that rotation angle until the wall stops you. That's a tough place, and then hitting the wall again on his way out.
He's just trying to take the widest line that he could to try and get the turn done in the first go round.
Our leader, Justin Seckham, on the final lap. Go ahead, Bill.
I was going to say, that right there is just Ferrari things at Mount Panorama. It is a very tough car to drive around here. Very tough.
Overall, great racing today. We saw, as I've said before, very few actual collisions. There were a couple. There will be. So again, we're going to get provisional results from this race here while we watch qualifying for the Pro and Silver class. But they are provisional. I have no doubt we are going to see some incident reports from this. We saw at least one good push during today's race. But overall, the biggest problem were, drivers being their own enemy. And I think that's what happens at Bathurst, right? It's hey, I went this fast last lap. Let me shave a 10th. And where can I find it? And it didn't matter if you didn't need to. And I guess that's why I'm not a sim racer. That's why I sit here in the booth and judge all of you. Because I don't feel the need during a race, like hot lapping, of course. But during a race, I don't feel the need to find that 10th because I'm in the position I'm in. I can't catch that guy. I already know that. He's a second faster than I am. So I'm not going to over push the car and end up ruining my race. Maybe that makes me not a sim racer. I don't know. But we saw a lot of that today, I think, where people just pushed a little harder than they needed to, and they were in a position where they could have just held on and maintained and had a good result today had they not done that.
Well, he's about to cross the line here.
We can focus on Justin Seckham coming across the line. The final lap, the final race of Season 5. Justin Seckham, your winner. Winner of the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, I'm going to have to say that one will stand. I doubt there's going to be any incidents involving him. I don't think he had any contact with any back markers or at any point in time or anything like that where he was being overly aggressive. So
Alex Martin,
I would guess that'll probably stand.
No, that should stand. But Alex Martin decides to finally pass Josie Austin after they cross the line. Josie Austin able to hold on to P9. Burke beat, finishing out in second as we get focused on Robert Hepburn here.
So Burke beat going to make out like a bandit in the points here.
Yeah, that's going to be big for him, especially when you factor in the finishing position of the people that were ahead of him going into this weekend.
Michael Zwanenberg looking for a fourth place finish as Robert Hepburn finishes in third. And Jace Wright got to be pretty happy. AM class driver stuck right there in P5, right in the middle of the top 10 that is just full of Pro-Am drivers. So nobody told Jace that Jace was an AM class driver. I don't think anybody let him know that.
If he hadn't been involved in the incident early, you wonder if he couldn't have been fighting for an overall podium spot too.
Yeah.
Relative to the pace and your practice and stuff like that, I think he totally here at the end of the race. Just looking at the AM finishers, both Jace Wright and Bruce Hopkins are going to make out like bandits in the points here. Kenny O'Connor dropped. Steve Music was I think finished third overall, so he's going to probably have a little bit of or third in AM, so he's probably going to maintain the gap between him, Jace Wright, and Bruce Hopkins relative to them. But I would not be shocked if we end up seeing Bruce Hopkins, Jace Wright, and Bruce Hopkins maybe leapfrog into the podium.
It'd be interesting. We should be able to get those results here relatively soon.
My guess will be Jace will jump up above Kenny O'Connor here. Jester Flume's going to jump way back, so Bruce Hopkins, whether or not he can be ahead of O'Connor, it'd be close, but it could be those three. Wow, that's I
mean, if I were Kenny O'Connor, I just wouldn't have dropped. I wouldn't have tried to finish the race. Just bring in some points into the calculation.
Holy cow! Nobody listens to me. Did you know that, Phil? Did you know that nobody listens?
I mean.
So there should have been a 10-minute, a 5-minute practice.
What'd you just say?
There should have been a 10-minute practice and a 20-minute qualifying leading into this. So I said, guys, it's longer races. You got to start the pro race with about 15 minutes left in the AM class race. That'll give us 10 minutes of qualifying left to talk about the race and then be able to watch some qualifying for the pro and silver class. There's 27 seconds left.
Yeah.
These guys drive me crazy. Doesn't matter to me. I'm taking a break here in a few minutes. Let's take a look, though, at the times on your screen. Nate Lamlin. So,
Nate is going to be
what is going on here, though? Why is Charlie Booth in second with a 2:57? That's not right. This is what happens when you can't connect early enough. No, that's not his fast time.
Is that a last lap time?
Is that Southern Hemisphere time?
Yeah, right. He was running the track backwards. Yeah, that's his last lap, and for some reason, it's not capturing his actual qual lap for me.
He's 6/10 off of.
Is he? Okay.
Right now. 4/10 up on Foose.
Jake Wells showing purple right now, just barely. Oh, and it went away. It went away, and Jake lost some time. A lot of time. Now he's back to the pits. So, wrapping up qualifying here for our pro and silver race. 17 drivers. Delilah Hazel returns. No time set. Going to start from the pits.
I was just seeing that myself.
Delilah, one of my favorite drivers from the season. Just fantastic. And last season, fantastic to watch because doesn't give up. And obviously, it looks like she had to miss some races this season for whatever reason. Glad to have you back, Delilah. Doesn't matter why. Great to see you on track again because just so much fun to watch. You want to talk about a good and fast driver? That's Hazel, right? We watched her last season, like get hammered by somebody in T1 and end up running the grid back to the front and stay clean on every pass. No contact made, all that stuff. So great to see her come back on track today. Lewis Ricard returning. But it looks like we are about set for the start of this race. I'm not showing anybody with any extra time here. I don't think anything's going to change as Lewis and Rob Keesar finish out their laps.
Real quick, we get into the formation. Pro and silver. I mean, we have what is it?
I'm losing you a little bit, Phil. You're a little quiet.
I'm sorry. I started to read my sheet of paper and talk at the same time. I mean, we're looking at what is that? 3 points between Booth and Wells.
Mm-hmm.
We've got 10 points between Foose and Gable. But I would say, depending on the finishing order here in Pro, from P1 to P5, that right there is kind of that is going to be jumbled up, I think, before the end of this race.
Now, just checking on
P1 to P5.
Something real quick. Tobias Gable not joining us today.
I was just going to comment on that when you mentioned his name, and he's not here in the qual list.
Yep,
because the Audi Evo 2, especially Sector 1, Sector 3 around here, is a bullet. So very sad to see Tobias not here. But my pick from Recovery Drive, still in this, currently sitting third on the timesheet in the M4, which has been super strong around here. Tom Foose. He's got 3 wins on the season.
He does. Foose is a beast.
Yeah, he missed. It looks like round one and had a tough race in round two, but since then, looks like he's been on it. He's been right up there in the fight the whole time and qualifying real well here at Bathurst as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think,
So, oh, sorry.
I
Go ahead.
well, I was going to say, I think the McLarens around here too are going to be tough. So I'm thinking like Nate Lamlin's going to be tough in the M4. I think Foose is going to be tough in the M4 around here. I would love to see Skinner perform, liking seeing the Ferrari up towards the sharp end of things. And then had a great conversation with Anderson during recovery drive. You know, hope he can get it pieced together. Hopefully he can piece that pit stop together. Whether or not ACC tracks time wrong or not, you know, just, you know, aim to impress, Anthony.
So starting off today in the Pro and Silver class race, Nate Lamlin, Charlie Booth going to share row one. And don't discount this. This is Charlie Booth's home track. Let's not forget that.
That's been the chat in Discord all week. It was basically that it was everybody was gunning for, you know, trying to stay on Charlie Booth's tail this week. So
just take him out. Just drive him into the wall in the first corner, and that'll be the end of that. We don't have to deal with him anymore. It's fine. We also roasted his rig on recovery drive. It was pretty fun, I gotta say. Nate Lamlin, Charlie Booth in row one. Tom Foose and Jake Wells will share row two. Jarrett Skinner, Anthony Anderson qualifying a little further back than what we've used to seeing from him this season. Going to share row three. Lewis Ricard, Timothy Glendinning, row four. Mike Burkhoff, Rick Pixel, row five. Adam Willie, Nikolai Tsiabuk, row six, with Rob Kiesar and Igor Kornikov, row seven. Nick Paquin, Rudy and Lloyd Davis in row eight, and Delilah Hazel with no qual going to bring up row nine all by herself. I will say this: if I'm Rob Kiesar, I am getting well on and away from Nikolai Tsiabuk and Igor Kornikov, and that's not because either of those guys are bad drivers, but they're driving the same livery and they like running together. Just let them have it.
And from what I've seen, when those two get together, they tend to get a little bit aggressive with each other, even if they are teammates. You don't want to be the you know, you don't want to be the Oreo cream filling in that one when you're in the Porsche.
Let's talk real quick about Silver. You guys brought up Tsiabuk is spread between P2 P7 14 points. So there's a lot to play for in the podium spots in Silver class. And they're all bunched together down here in the back half. So I'm really interested to see how this plays out. Nobody's catching Glendinning. He's in another universe right now.
Well,
but Kornikov down. There's a lot to play.
And I'm going to have to interrupt you guys because apparently, Phil, you and I were given incorrect information.
Huh?
Oh, it is, but not right now. Okay. Well, that doesn't. No, we better not do anything. We better not review this. It does say they're provisional. Well, because what Huff said is it is the provisional results are there for AM and Pro-Am, but the points for the last race are not doubled yet. So I don't know, and it is listed as provisional on the site. I'm looking at it right now. It is provisional, but I don't know that we should go through it and say anything about it without that point doubling being done. You know what I mean? Like, as much as I want to, I don't know if we should. So we'll hold off.
I think that's perfectly okay.
We'll hold
to be
off.
perfectly honest. I would kind of not be surprised. Well, so I'm looking at them because you said it. Like, if you didn't want me to look at it, you should have said anything. So not surprised. I'm gonna say I think that part of the results are gonna stay the way they are, and I feel like there's gonna be at least one big change that isn't reported yet. So
Well, and that's what's so hard with provisionals, right? Is because we have to do all the stewarding post race. The drivers have 24 hours to submit their stuff, and great, thank you, Huff, for trying to throw it in there. I appreciate what he's doing, but it's just I don't know how much know how much good it does just because of incidents. We did see one incident with a hard push, so really kind of a big deal there. But sorry, just looking at a text here real quick.
I missed that. So are these provisional results here?
Yes.
Yeah, if you look at
Can they maybe-
if you look at AM and Pro Am, they're
Now, are they? Do they include the double points?
No, the
No.
points have not been
Okay.
doubled.
not. But
Okay,
if you
so
look
there
at
may
what we
be
were
some
ta-
shift there.
if you take a look at towards the sharp end of it,
Mhm.
part of the results we're talking about that might come to play. It's like they're in place, but there's still one name in that list that hasn't quite bumped up relative to that second introduction of points.
Mhm.
Of points, yeah. I get what you're saying. I think I'm seeing the same thing. Yeah.
So
Yeah, that
let's-
was a great race to finish out the season there.
it was a
Pro-Am for
fantastic
sure.
race.
That was a lot of fun.
For this race, gentlemen, let's have a brief discussion about order here and the recipe for success. Kind of same story here.
Now, I would say this real quick, just to jump in there on
Go
the
for it.
silver. On the silver side, I think Glendinning kind of has this locked up, right?
Oh yeah,
Even with double
yeah, he's
points,
in
I
another
mean,
universe.
Yeah, he's got this locked down
Points
now.
wise, for sure.
Kornikov, Seabook, Rob Keesar, Lydian Lloyd Davis, who I don't. Davis is out there. Okay, I didn't think he was going to make this week. Even Mike Burkhoff. All of these. I mean, we're talking 194 for Igor Kornikov down to, you have to go to Matt Comiskey in P7 to be more than 14 points away.
Yeah, that's
That-
what I
yeah,
was saying right
that's-
before we
yeah.
talked about the provisional result.
That's so close.
The tightest spread this season, P2 to P7, 14.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's really close right there. When you factor in you're already 6 races into the season and 14 points separate.
Yeah.
6 drivers.
Six
Yeah.
drivers, that's
yeah,
crazy.
I mean that's
But we are about to
to
go
go
green here at Bathurst for the second time today. Pro and silver class split racing. Let's go. These guys are going to throw it down. And Nate Lamlin leading us out into T1 with Charlie Booth. Everybody backing down a little bit, and it looks like squeezing in the corner.
All about making
Charlie
it
Booth
clean.
is on it. Let's go. Yeah, swing that camera for me, buddy. Go ahead. Come on.
Yeah,
There
my
you
question,
go.
Lamlin, I'm not seeing him in the standings here. Is this a one-off entry?
Oh no, he's got 2 other race finishes. He's towards the bottom. He's got like 50 some odd points in pro.
Yeah, he's in 12th right now.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Sorry, I skipped right over it.
Nate Lamlin able to hold on for now. Charlie Booth fighting his way up the hill with Jake Wells right behind him. Charlie Booth has got to beat Jake Wells.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, 3 points in the standings. But
Yep.
again, even then, you look at the top 3 there. Anderson is in reach. That only 8 points in the top 3.
Jarrett Skinner is the first casualty if I can catch him.
Oh,
Oh,
massive
no!
shot.
Oh no!
Oh,
Let's back
the
up
chaos.
on Jarrett Skinner because the whole back of the grid just got lambasted.
and that right there, we're talking pressures. We're talking getting yourself set up on the first lap, playing it conservative. Did not work out.
So right there,
Car-
Skinner loses it
What just
into the
happened?
wall.
Yeah.
Loses into the wall, but it looks like got off track. But everybody trying to slow down. Then look at all the spinning up ahead. So really,
That was
Skinner did not cause that incident at all.
no.
He
I don't think
didn't
so.
cause it from a perspective of he should be penalized for it necessarily, but trying to slow up and check up when you're
Oh,
Glendinning just
all
oh
the
my lord.
carnage.
What,
That
let's
car
watch
just
Glendinning.
exploded.
Let's watch Glendinning here. And this is, see, I talked about this in the first race. If you don't get that outside swing coming over that rise, this is the kind of thing that can happen.
Now that looked like a quick dart towards the wall. Was there a tap from the Mercedes there?
I did not see contact, no. And
They
now-
didn't look
I
that
didn't see
close,
it.
but they were neck and neck there.
yeah, they
so.
were. But now
about-
Glendinning's stuck.
there's about half a car width between them. So Lamlin right now on Easy Street, 9/10 between him and Booth. Wells already 1.1 back from Booth, but he's going to have to deal with Tom Foose. Tom Foose is only 8/10 back.
Yeah.
We're going to have an absolute slew of pit stops for Danny.
Oh yeah, I mean the pits have already started. I show 4 cars in the pits already.
Delilah Hazel is in the pits. Did she get caught up in the back of that?
I think so.
Might
Yeah,
have.
I think
Might
Delilah
have.
got caught up. But right now,
Now,
Tom
who made
Foose,
it?
he's chasing down Jake Wells back uphill for lap 2.
Now, the pace of these top 4 guys is just unreal, and you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna see like we did in the M Pro Am with the gap opening up to the lead. I think you're gonna see a much closer battle for the lead throughout the whole entirety of this race between those 4.
Just looking right now, looks like if I'm check this.
So it's going to be curious on Recovery Drive to review this first lap here for this Pro and Silver split to see exactly what happened. I doubt we'll get to it today, but definitely need to see kind of what went down there. Jake Wells continuing to be run down by Tom Foose.
So, based on what we talked about with the tight spread right now, I want to talk about somebody who's in the catbird seat right now. You're talking about Mike Burkhoff in the 74 Corsa Ferrari.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sitting P6 overall, chasing down Lewis Rickard, who's no threat to him for points whatsoever, but currently sitting in 6th. Basically looking like he could make a move up into the podium positions, depending on the provisional finishing order here.
Yeah.
So Burkhoff.
Again, with them being so tight. And where is Kornikov currently? Back in P11.
Kornikov got deleted in that incident in
Seabook the same down at the back.
Yep.
Lloyd Davies is far at the back. Really, as long as he can hold off Rob Kesar, he could even move himself up. And Glendenning too, like he's gonna be back. He's got the points to walk away with it, but second place is wide open right now. And Mike Burkhoff could really take it if he keeps up this.
Yeah, it is definitely like if I'm Mike Burkhoff, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is like you've been handed the opportunity now, and you need to hold on to it with both hands as long as you can. So that is thinking about relative to the field. What is the pace of Rob Kesar behind me? How am I going to handle the pit stops? What am I looking for in an hour and 24 minutes left in this race? But yeah, Mike Burkhoff made out in a big way relative to that first lap incident.
Now, was he just ahead of the incident when it happened?
I think so.
That's got it.
I'm gonna go jump.
Qualify well, and that helps for sure.
I'm gonna go jump over to
the
timetable. So Burkhoff qualified 9th in the overall. So he was behind Glendenning. But looks like he might have done well to avoid the incident with Skinner. Although Jake Wells is having a bit of a dramatic moment in the chase.
I'm Foose getting ahead right there.
Jake Wells got to keep it on the black stuff.
Opened it up for Foose to get through there. Tom Foose currently in 4th. Jake Wells sitting in 1st. But now, this is a flip-flop. Charlie Booth. Really, what I'm looking at in Pro right now is that Charlie Booth needs to stay where Charlie Booth is. He does not need to challenge Lamlin in any way, shape, or form. He doesn't need to chase him down. He doesn't need to scrap with him. He needs to let Foose and Wells take care of each other and just drive right now. Just hot lap, avoid traffic, do your bit, mind your business. That's really what Booth needs to be doing at this point.
Yeah, it's Charlie Booth's in a really, really good spot right now. I'm kind of interested to see how things are going to wind up between him and Foose. Although, to be honest, right now, he's got pace in hand on Foose. And Charlie Booth right now is sitting on some really quick Sector 1, Sector 3 times relative. So definitely he's got that McLaren in some sort of like low drag setup and is slippery as hell.
Running some low downforce, but still able to transfer that weight in that mid-engine car through the mountain to keep the pace up.
Now, I'm starting to wonder if Jake Wells is, in general, going to struggle with Bathurst. Again, Jake did very well. Well, here's the thing: Jake did very well this season, but now Louis Ricard in Silver Class, kind of holding and closing the gap on Wells.
That's the thing, man. I cannot say a bad thing about Jake Wells. He's been a teammate of mine during Bathurst. In fact,
I'm not going to say a bad thing about him. I'm just wondering if this is not one of his strong tracks. You know what I mean?
He sounded quietly confident this week when in a couple of the voice chats he jumped in this week, and he didn't sound like he was. He didn't sound like a Bathurst hater. So I don't think it's. Everybody has their off days, but and even then. That one mistake, you leave the track and you just have to refocus and get yourself back into it. And
relative to the field right now, I mean, we're looking at last lap was a 2:03.3 from Jake, so not that far off of Nate Lamlin, who I know he's raced with Nate before. But Tom Fusa with a 2:02.495 last lap.
Wow.
That's almost 0.9 faster. Yeah.
That is almost 0.5 faster than Charlie Booth in second.
Oh wow! So he's going to be closing that gap up a little bit.
We need a little bit more data before we can jump into pit wall.
It looks
start to ask the question about like where are the average lap times.
Mm-hmm. Just watching the gap here on screen, it looks like Booth is at least keeping the pace with Lamlin, but it's been pretty consistently around 2 seconds. It looks like it just came back 2.3.
And Louis Ricard throws his car into the wall. Let's back up real quick. Right there with a slide and a spin. Luckily got it pointed in the right direction coming off the wall, but wow.
But then, you can see he's carrying some heavy damage.
Done. Yeah, he's got to get that to the pits very quickly.
He's trying to get that car in control, and that's rough looking.
But now Mike Burkhoff in a wow. I don't know if he can get back. You see the slide in the back. I don't know if he can get that back to the pits. I hope so.
I've been there in the Mercedes before.
There's an easy way to do this. And Phil, maybe you know this in iRacing at Bathurst. If you just full send down the hill right here, you don't have to go out around the wall. You can just jump over it.
You certainly can. In fact, there have been a few people who have done successful jumps in races. But man, he's got to get this car.
Yeah, that thing is destroyed.
So purple lap from Lamlin there, 2:01.8.
First 2:01 of the day. That is crazy.
2:01.800 flat. That's a quick pace, and you can see actually the gap to Booth has grown about a half a second in the last lap. So he's Lamlin's pouring it on now.
Real quick, Retro, just to answer your question, Jake Wells currently leads this series. Charlie Booth in second, with Anthony Anderson in third, as Louis Ricard heads into the pits. Gentlemen, with that, I'm gonna throw you all on autopilot for a minute. I don't see any real close battles.
Actually, go ahead.
Actually, hold on. I'm gonna put us on Mike Burkhoff because Anthony Anderson is chasing him down right now. So I'm gonna leave it there and step away for about 3 or 4 minutes, if you guys don't mind, and then we'll be back.
I think I'll do the same. Is that all right with you, Phil?
Go for it.
All right.
Excellent. So about 1 hour 18 minutes left in this race. Ladies and gentlemen, stick with us. We are not done. Plenty of action to be seen here at Mount Panorama, and I leave you in the glorious hands of Phil Milby for a few minutes while I take a quick step away. Thank you, Phil.
No problem, sir. So just taking a look right now at data relative to pace has started to normalize a little bit between and Tom. Both of them running, low 203s, high 202. Jake Wells starting to struggle. 203.8 last lap. Mike Burkhoff, though, right now, watching, is getting chased down by Anthony Anderson. Anthony Anderson put a 203.6 down the last lap, and Anthony Anderson's kind of MO throughout an entire race is just kind of like his pace builds over time. Like he just gets faster and faster and faster the laps he puts down on a track. So I suspect that this 203.6 is not the fastest we're going to see out of Anthony. He can keep it out of the wall. Yeah, Burkhoff coming across the line with a 203.4. and Anthony Anderson 2037. So Anthony Anderson really going to be looming large in Burkhoff's rear view. If I'm Burkhoff, I'm thinking to myself to play it smart. I'm probably going to let Anthony go, not let him pressure the situation too much. Definitely want to dictate the variables that are within your control, want to dictate their state. He's got a decent gap between him and Keesar right now that he can potentially hang on to. Keesar pumped in a 2:05.9 last lap, and that's a fast lap for Keesar. So Burkhoff does have plenty of pace in hand relative to Keesar. So he's definitely going to want to put some space between him and the 992. Just looking through the rest of the field. Looks like Anthony had a bit of a moment of some type because the gap just opened back up. So we've had a number of early pit stops in this race, and this is a 90-minute race. Just looking right now, we are definitely going to have people that are going to have to pull more than one pit stop in this race, just because of the damage that had to take the early pit stop. They've cleared towards the regs, so it's down to just serving the pit stop that you need to make sure you got the right to get to the end. But yeah, I'm looking at from Glendenning, Hazel, Rickard, that Paquin, Skinner. These are folks that are going to have to take another stop, probably to get the car home. Camera is stuck on Mike Burkhoff being chased down by Anthony Anderson, but I'm also keeping an eye on the rest of the field for everybody while Adam and Maddie are away. Something we didn't get an opportunity to talk about, track temperatures were running than what we saw in the AM Pro-Am. 22 degrees ambient, 26 degrees on track. So really good temperatures actually for that. Not too hot. Tire dag should not be nearly as harsh as it was in the first race.
All right. Did I miss anything fun while I was gone?
Negative. The gap between Anderson and Burkhoff is starting to fluctuate a little bit, but Burkhoff's keeping it going in the right direction. I was looking.
Yeah, it looks like it grew a bit since I left.
Yeah, I was looking at the pace relative to Burkhoff and Keesar, and he has a definite pace advantage on Keesar.
Anderson does?
No, Burkhoff. So
Burkhoff does. Okay.
I would so. Keesar, if I'm Keesar, I'm thinking to myself, I need to try and finish in this order if I can. But also relative to his pace, Kornikov is quicker.
Sorry, guys. Jarrett Skinner making contact with Nick Paquin. Back it up real quick.
Oh.
Right there. And at this corner again, man, these guys shoot for this pass here, and it's just not the best place.
Yeah.
As Jarrett Skinner goes sliding back into the middle of the track.
Just barely missing that. Oh, what was it? A BMW coming through there?
Yeah. That is. I know it's on a straight, but I've been in that corner too many times, and had too many people try to make that pass to realize that if you're not on that outside line, you're better off backing out. You're better off backing out. They're coming across. They're coming across. They have to come across, right? At least a little bit. To set up for the next corner. There's no way I look to make a pass there.
I've raced Bathurst a lot. That's a location I love to execute the pass on the inside.
Of course you do.
That one right there. I cannot help. But I mean the wonderful people that work the post office. I've got to help keep them employed. So I'm just gonna lick the stamp and send it. That and the chase too. Going into the chase, like the setup with the kink and then into the chase, it's just one of my favorite zones to get a pass to execute. pull it off. Not always that I get to do it, but man, it's so rewarding to get to pull it off. So while you guys are back, I'm going to take a step away. I'm going to get some more coffee so that I don't fall asleep in the chair.
Absolutely, sir.
I'll be back.
Watch now Mike Burkhoff. Anthony Anderson trying to run Mike Burkhoff down again. Not in the same class you see there on your screen. Nothing we really have to worry about. Or that I should say that Burkhoff really needs to worry about. But keeping a car between him and Keesar probably going to be important.
Yes, absolutely. As Phil was just saying, Burkhoff absolutely has the pace over Keesar right now. So I don't think keeping that buffer of Anderson between is going to be ultimately important. However, that gap between Anderson and Burkhoff has been fluctuating anywhere between about a second and 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Anderson either doesn't have the pace that Burkhoff does. I didn't ask Phil that question. I'm trying to download Pitwall now to get that info myself, but I don't know if maybe he's just not trying to push as hard. Anderson, that I'm saying, he's not trying to make the pass per se off behind Burkhoff at this point.
I just threw the link into the chat right there for you, Matt. Just go to that you don't need to download anything. Just go right to that link and you can watch all the live timing. Make it a little easier.
Page 9. Oh, you.
That link will work for anyone else in the chat. Exclamation Pitwall will get you that link anytime here while watching at Box 3. And Retro, you're not wrong. It looks like the field has pretty well spread out at this point. Again, Anderson and Burkhoff not in a points race right here, but the closest racing we've got, so we'll keep them on screen.
Where is the chat? I'm trying to find this.
In the Twitch chat.
Oh,
Sorry.
The Twitch chat.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm over here looking in the Discord chat like, what? I'm not seeing it. I got you there.
Dane Lamlin
perfect.
continuing to lead. Charlie Booth, it seems like maybe is starting to close the gap on Lamlin a little bit. Now down to 2 seconds. So we'll keep an eye up there just to see where that might start, where they might start coming together, particularly after pit stops. Delilah Hazel gotten herself back into the top 10. Delilah in the Mercedes. Oh, that's why Delilah didn't qualify. Delilah, typically
she took
a Audi
a qualifier ban.
Yeah, okay.
But still making her way up, including she was involved with that early incident as well.
Yeah.
And took an early pit stop and is now picking her way up through and, like you said, made it up to P10. I'm loving all this data. This is cool.
This record yellow flagged. And looks like maybe heading into the pits. Yeah, off
Going
track there.
in.
Off track there. Looks like Lewis had problems previous on the mountain. There's a lot of damage not picked up from what we just saw.
That Mercedes is taking a beating today, isn't it?
He's not having a good day at all. Charlie Booth heads downhill one more time.
So yeah, that's what I'm interested to look in here. Is so Booth and Lamlin sector 1 times are within 1,000th of each other.
Wow.
On the last lap. Booth actually did the faster lap, a 2:02.6 versus a 2:02.997 for Lamlin. So but the gap still seems to be pretty much the same here. It's not really shrinking. It seems like they're trading back and forth with quick laps. Wells is doing, let's see, did a 2:03.7 on the last lap. He's back 17 seconds currently. I just got to keep refreshing this. Yeah. So yeah. Who are we looking at here? Mike Burkhoff. So He's still got a second gap back to Anderson. Again, I don't know that Anthony Anderson's really challenging to push through. Maybe he's trying to save a little bit for later. It is a 90-minute race.
Well, and it could be too that he's not. I mean, look, Anderson could be looking at this going, okay, you know, Burkhoff is 4 seconds back from Wells. Do I need to catch Wells? Will it do me any good to catch Wells? So am I gonna force the issue here? This particular battle with Burkhoff is not for points. Anderson's already in third. Now, the only thing I would, if I were Anderson, the only thing I would be worried about is that I've got Lamlin as a spoiler in there because Lamlin's missed a ton of races this season, but he's taken top points, right?
You get that, but also if you can just use, if you're Anderson and Burkhoff's got a decent pace, which it seems like he's doing okay. If you can use him, catch some draft down the straightaways and close that gap to Wells.
True.
Which it looks like Wells is kind of growing a little bit to Foose the gap. So maybe strategy-wise, save a little bit of fuel, and work together as a team almost, and close that gap to Wells. And then once you can see Wells up ahead in the distance, that's when you start to turn it on.
And it does look like that gap might be starting to come down. It was just under 4 seconds, came back up a little bit, but and of course you get that as we go around the track, it's going to rubber band a little. But it does seem like maybe that gap to Wells is starting to close down a bit. And you could be right. Anderson's going to use that draft and try and pick up, let that gap close up until he has him in his sights and then go after him.
I mean, Anderson has, again, he's running essentially about the same pace as Burkhoff. And is that intentional or is that just the pace? Is kind of the question, I think. But Wells actually just did a 204.28, so he's actually
and Tom
losing a
Foose
bit of
has
pace.
gotten ahead of Charlie Booth. Whoa. Oh no. Charlie Booth with a disconnect.
Oh no, yeah, he's just...
The Australian internet strikes again. And Charlie Booth has now disconnected from this race. Wow. That is a shame, though. That is, I mean, he hasn't had that all season. He hasn't had that all season. He's done really well. So that's a shame that disconnect's going to come in the finale here with him in second.
Especially
and Jake Wells. Jake Wells was sitting in fourth. That could have been the points. I mean, that would have been the points that possibly put him ahead.
Now, if you're Anthony Anderson, you want to get up ahead of Wells.
Yeah.
That just opened the door entirely for Anthony Anderson.
100%.
It gave Jake Wells a bit of breathing room if he can capitalize on it, but that just opened it up for Anderson in a big way.
That is a shame.
It's you hate to see it happen because of a technical difficulty like that.
Yeah.
You'd almost rather see him put it into the wall.
I'm just curious though, why is Wells' time relative to going up like that? Wells' time has been growing.
Yeah, but there's something's reading.
That's going way up. Oh, I see what you're talking about.
It just keeps counting up at this point, unless Wells is sitting still, which we know he's not. He's right there.
Yeah, because
once the cameraman
time to Burkhoff is not closing to Wells. You know what I mean? So
it's possible. It just seems like it's possible that Charlie Booth disconnect threw something off. We may have to wait for the lap to finish, and it may update itself.
Yeah, see, it just went blank there.
Yeah.
Burkhoff now within 2.5 seconds of Wells. Anderson's got to be thinking, man, how am I gonna get around Burkhoff? How am I gonna get around Wells?
Well, we were talking about while you were taking a break that, is Anderson using Burkhoff almost as a teammate, catch a little bit of draft on the straightaways, save on fuel, and basically close the gap to Wells, who appears to be driving slower at this point by nearly. I'm trying to see. Anderson did a 204.38, Wells a 204.972. So about 0.6 of a second. So the gap is getting closed up, but do you just wait until you can see Jake Wells in front of you before you really, from there, I'm guessing they're in view of each other now. So now is when, and especially if Anderson realizes that Booth is gone and what that means to the points, now I feel like you'll see him start to turn it on. But I think he was using Burkhoff a bit as a windscreen up until this point.
It's going to be interesting because there is a definite pace delta between Burkhoff and Wells, almost 2/10 on the average.
Let's get more data here. Where are you seeing all the averages and stuff? I just get last lap times.
That's in pit wall.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'll have to learn more.
I do the pro account.
Yeah.
Oh,
you may
okay, that's
need,
why. Okay. Yeah, I'll get to that point.
Palm Tree in the
That's
chat.
what it is.
Mr. Charlie Booth saying he got disconnected. Is back on track, currently sitting in the pits in P12, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get back out there. That is really a shame. I mean, I pick on Charlie. Overall, he's a good dude. I do pick on him, but I hate to see that happen to anybody.
Yeah.
I really do.
Charlie was really doing everything he needed to do.
It says in the chat, there's no point in going back out. I'm 3 laps down. Well, I would argue with you, Charlie. Nate Lamlin yellow flagged now. What is going on here? As Anderson, looks like Anderson just came out of the pits. Tom Foose going to take up first. Nate Lamlin sitting in the pits. So maybe looking for that. Oh, and Nate Lamlin now disconnected.
No.
What is going on? That's 2. That's one is one thing, especially when they have crazy bad internet. But now Nate Lamlin disconnecting. Although, to be perfectly fair, hopefully there's no server issue here that we're running into. But to be 100% honest, again, Nate Lamlin was a spoiler in this race, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's missed the majority of the season. Maybe he just decided, I'm done racing now. He's not going to win anything, right? So.
I don't think that's Lamlin's speed.
No, and I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that hopefully, my hope is more that there's not a server issue here that we would have to restart this. I don't want to restart the race. I'd hate for that to happen. And Mark saying Nate's stream DC'd as well. Oh, his stream DC'd as well. So he was streaming and got disconnected.
Maybe some internet connections at home.
Yeah, maybe that's more of his connection issue.
He's had connection issues in the past.
Okay.
But so the thing is that I don't want anyone to necessarily think that I'm bragging, but Tom Foose is in the lead of this race. Just wanted to point that out. I just thought it would be worth noting.
So you're the one that found somebody to go cut the undersea cable over to Charlie Booth. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
the disconnect happened as Phil got back from his break. So coincidence?
Phil was on break. Phil sits down. Charlie gets disconnected.
Phil's back and Charlie's gone, and Phil's got a pair of wire cutters in his hand.
I mean, all I'm saying is his ping's still high. That's not on me.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not on me. But Tom Foose in the lead of this race. Just thought I'd drop that factoid out into the ether, let you guys take it in.
Jake Wells currently running in second. Mike Burkhoff about a 1.5 seconds back now. Mike Burkhoff having a great race. A silver class driver running up there with the pros. Let's take a look at the position delta for today. Mike Burkhoff up 6 spots on the day. How about Rob Keesar and Delilah Hazel? Rob Keesar up 8 spots. Delilah Hazel up 10. Got scooped up in all that nastiness. And look, I mean, we've had a couple disconnects.
And started at the back of the grid.
Yeah, and started at the back.
Had to work her way up twice, essentially.
Yeah, we've had a couple disconnects, but at the same time, as Lamlin comes back in now, at the same time, had to work our way there because, well, started from the back, and that's only 2 spots gained because of disconnects.
That's still 8 on driving ability and just good luck maybe at that point, but she's always shown to have the pace of, especially with the M. Is she racing? Oh, she's in pro. Okay.
Yeah. But and with the car change, right? So
yeah. Well, the last time that I remember seeing her in one of the races was she qualified pole. I forget which was it. Maybe Barcelona that you guys did. Yeah. She qualified pole and then took the penalty on the start.
Yes.
And then and things kind of unraveled from there for her. But she obviously had the pace through qualifying, and Yeah, very talented driver. To make it up 10, 10 spots and at Bathurst is absolutely.
Burkhoff continuing to close gap on Wells, dragging Anthony Anderson with him.
Anthony's dropped back a bit. About 0.3 between him right now.
Yeah, a little bit. He's kind of slacked off a little. It looks like I think we got back markers between them too. So we'll see if Lamlin comes back out of the pits today.
I like Nate. Nate's a good driver and a fun streamer to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Shame to see him get disconnected like that. He was running his own race.
Yeah, he was really pulling away with this. Again, a bit of a spoiler today, as having missed most of the season, so really wasn't going to put himself in contention for the podium or anything like that. So that's the only, I won't say good thing, because again, getting disconnected is awful. I don't think it. Oh, and as Wells taps the wall a little bit coming up the hill, I don't think it's a good thing he got disconnected at all. But it's going to kind of square the points situation at the front of this for the pro drivers, right? If you understand my meaning.
Yes. I think Wells is in a really good spot right now. He really needs to play it really safe.
Mm-hmm.
I think like he doesn't have a whole lot of pace in hand to play with relative to Anthony Anderson, but there's still a lot of time, a lot of trips through the mountain, so things could go horribly wrong. For himself or someone else, so he's got to eyes forward, keep it cool. Don't go past your limits.
Yep, Nate Lamlin.
Because the thing waiting for you if you go past your limits is a momentum killer. So yeah, Wells is in a pretty good spot right now.
Nate Lamlin has decided to come back out on track. He will continue to race, it looks like. Charlie
Hats
Booth
off to him.
I say the same thing. Good on him.
And I'm telling you, I get it, Charlie. It's a gutting experience, man. But a significant impact on track could potentially pull Anthony closer. Maybe the same for Jake. We saw it happen to Nate Lamlin. I mean, think about where you are relative to Nate Lamlin when you would have reconnected. A lot of good points on offer, man.
Yeah.
The other thing is too is it's not out of the realm of possibility for a driver to have two massive incidents in an hour.
True.
We got a little under an hour left. Field is genuinely stretched out with the exception of Burkhoff.
Even then, the gap to Anderson, he seems to be extending that gap. I don't know if Anderson just doesn't have the pace, but
I think Anthony has kind of just dropped back a bit. He's running around
playing it safe.
203.9s. I'm gonna go take a look at Anderson's car just to see if anything has happened here that we don't know about.
Yeah.
That's a relatively looking car, a little bit of front end damage, but nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, I even question if that's damage or if that's just like road debris on the Dream Team Racing 16 McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
Because our driver's relatively well spread out here. I am going to take another step away. I've got a work thing kicking off here real quick. I got to talk to one of my team members. So I'm going to leave you all on autopilot here for just a bit and let you guys discuss this race. And I will be back as soon as possible once I'm done dealing with this quickly.
The rear wing view from Foos's car is fairly lonely. It's not a bad thing to be looking in your rearview mirror and see a bunch of empty road.
It is. It really is. Did Mike Burkhoff just... Oh, that's not... Oh, Mike Burkhoff is really caught up to Wells now.
Yeah.
Anthony Anderson might be leaving a little bit of space between Burkhoff, just in case if something happens in front of him. Should those two close?
There's leaving space and then there's leaving time, and it looks like Anderson's leaving time. If you ask me, the gap's grown another almost 0.6 in this last lap.
Mountain attrition continues down.
But also,
15
you know, Burkhoff
drivers.
could be pushing pretty hard right now. He might have that extra motivation of seeing wells in his windshield there, and maybe pushing a little bit harder and putting in.
Yeah, Burkhoff is kind of like Jace a little bit. Definitely. This is not meant to be a derogatory term, but he's a driver without a class, or a driver without class, because he races like everybody's in the same class.
Okay.
So he is.
If you're on track, you're on track. You're racing me.
Yeah. So I would not put Burkhoff past.
Well, and if you look too at the session timer, we're nearing the halfway point here. So you wonder if maybe these drivers are pushing that little bit of life that they left and saved early in their tires and getting ready for their pit stop, and let's just push and let's see what we can do and open the gap before I have to go in, knowing that pit stops are so critical. You know, like now's the time is put it down before you're going to go in and try and spread that gap out or close the gap to the guy in front of you, and hope the pit stops can sort some stuff out.
That definitely could be it. Oh man, Skinner and Kornikov going toe to toe in Murray's corner. Now just a drag race down into turn one. Can't tell if that's Delilah or Glendenning behind. Oh, Delilah switched from the Audi, so she's in the Merc now.
So she's in the Mercedes.
So that's got to be Glendenning. And now a drag race up Mountain Straight as they get ready to go into Quarry. Skinner's still out in front. Well, out in front after the coming toe-to-toe with Kornikov in Sector 1. Bit hard racing here on the mountain. Anthony Anderson now 3 seconds back from Jake Wells, who has lost a position to Mike Burkhoff.
Now, what happened there?
That is
the autopilot misses out on the big moves, huh?
Yeah, because that gap would have closed up quick.
I mean, it swapped basically. You're talking about just over a second to just over a second the other direction. That's a 2-second swing, and you wonder if it was just, Wells lost the momentum when he was passed, or made a mistake and that's what allowed the pass.
So while we're watching this, I am going to flip over to the other PC real quick. I want to see.
Flip back to the replay. Man, I feel all special because I just built my first PC and you got 2 of them you're working with over there.
I've been doing broadcasting in ACC for like over 3 years now, and the second PC setup, I think I've been doing this now for about almost a year and a half. Yeah, go ahead.
Seems like it's working. It's efficient. As soon as somebody has a question that can be answered with that,
Ooh, a little too much curb on the mid corner into Murray's corner, and that just cost Skinner big time.
2 positions.
Yeah, for me, it was about the 2 PC setup was all about kind of pushing the limits of what I could handle from a broadcasting perspective.
For sure.
So yeah, it started off as broadcasting 2 splits at the same time, which was nuts.
That's.
So I mean that was tough, but then being able to do the picture-in-picture and the battle cams and stuff with 2 PC setups, pretty dope. But in races where Adam's driving the ship, man, I can just use second PC to go around, just take a look and see what happens.
Go and look. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I'm going to take a look real quick. There's some front end damage on Jake Wells on that.
Yeah, and it looks like Burkhoff is continuing to slowly open the gap, but Let's see if Anderson's capitalizing though. Is he closing that gap? Because that's also the question. Is Anderson doesn't seem to have been. You know, if you look at his gap to Burkhoff in general, it's grown over the last few laps, and you wonder if it's tire degradation or is it a damage thing. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily look damaged, his car, but
It's got some pace relative to Wells right now. It is just kind of
Anderson
like
does.
Anderson does. Last lap was a 2:04.9 from Wells and a 2:04.4 from
Well,
Anderson.
Yeah, so
on the
about
average, though, they're about 0.2 advantage to Anderson.
We head on board with Mr. Anderson.
While you were gone, some things happened.
I see some
things certainly happen.
Tom Foose still leading this. Who else did we lose?
You have lost 5 drivers, 6 drivers if you count the pits. It has been a rough.
Yeah, Skinner ended up going back to the pits. You can understand that. He hit that wall, and it did not look like his car was doing too well after that.
Gotcha. Wow. I'm sorry I missed all that. Apologies for having to step away and make a phone call.
I mean, you missed out. We were luckily here to see it and react to it.
Well, just about halfway done. Wow.
The big question is honestly. I'm sorry. The big question for us is really what happened between Wells and Burkhoff as far as you know, the pass did not happen on screen for us, so we're not really sure.
Okay.
You know, it was a quick swap in position, and then it seems like Wells is, you know, losing some time to Burkhoff and losing some time to Anderson behind him as well.
Huh.
I think Phil was saying looked like he had a bit of damage. Ooh.
Getting spicy on board with Anderson. Yeah. Anderson under pressure from Nate Lamlin. So not battling for position. I know Lamlin's pace. Guess what, Lamlin, you can have it, buddy. I got my outside line. Here we go. This is Phil's favorite passing spot, apparently.
But Lamlin backs out of it and says, "You know what? You're a lap up. We're not gonna tussle like that."
See? Do you see how that works, Phil? Do you see?
Yeah. I see how it works.
Just take a breath.
Listen,
Lamlin's got pace. He'll find somewhere else to get around Anderson. It's fine.
easier said than done. Easier said than done.
I just know anytime someone's been coming around me there, it has not been fun. Tom Foose, Mike Burkhoff, both into the pits now.
Both in the pits.
Jake Wells will take up P1. Anthony Anderson moving into P2.
No, you wonder if Anderson might have tried the undercut on Wells there. If maybe his car is doing all right, and he knows that Wells is hurt, and so he's hoping to maybe close the gap into the pits here. But you'd think they're probably stopping the next lap or two.
So the story behind Wells and Burkhoff has been unlocked, and it is not as dramatic as you would think. Wells just had a bit of a moment, carried a little too much speed, caught a little too much curb into Murray's corner, which is the final corner, went off track, then came back on track, and then did the exact same thing in turn 1. Too much speed, went a little wide on the corner, out into the grass, and lost enough pace in both of those turns. I mean, Burkhoff already had the pass done pretty much before they were going into turn 1. But then Wells goes off track again, and that's what gave us the, you know, greater than half-second gap between Wells and Burkhoff.
Gotcha.
And that's how it was done.
Mm.
Well, at least no contact, nothing like that. Lamlin still content to sit behind Anderson.
Now, how does that happen if you disconnect, reconnect? You're going to be sitting in the pits for a minute. Are you going to go out in a fresh car? Lock controls, but are you going out in a fresh car, or are you going out in the same condition as you were disconnected in?
No, you'll get
tires and fuel.
So it depends. depends. If I remember correctly, you can have a situation where you go out with a repaired car. If you get warped to the pits, you can come out on track, I believe, with no repairs.
Well, so that's the thing is, so Lamlin, I'm guessing, was not going to need the repairs. His car was running fine when he was disconnected.
Yeah, but you still get lock controls.
You're going to get the lock controls, but you'll get the fresh tires, but you'll also get whatever fuel load you had loaded up in your setup. So you may end up in a situation where you've got a short stint on a heavy fuel load, where you were hoping to now have already burned off, say, half of that at that point.
Yeah.
I think it kind of depends.
Where now you don't have enough to make it all the way to the end, and you're going to have to do an extra stop.
So with Tom Foose and Burkhoff both taking the pit stops when they did. By the way, in terms of
does Rob Kesar still owe his pit stop? Or
Rob Kesar still has a pit stop to take. Yep.
Yep, because I was going to say that gap closed up pretty significantly there.
Yeah, Kesar was pulling up on the back end of Burkhoff, and now has kind of backed off a little bit.
Burkhoff's pit stop 105, 105.2, so faster than what we were seeing in Pro-Am. Tom Foose, who last week in Indy executed the ridiculous pit stop that nobody understands. I think he was traveling through time and space. A 104.2.
Wow.
So almost 2 seconds faster than the fastest pit stop in the Pro-Am race. So yeah, Tom Foose set up quite well for this race. Average lap time first stint 2:02.9. Really quick. Wells currently 3.7 back ahead of Anderson. Anderson
did go into pit. He went into the pit.
Yeah, he just actually. Let's watch that pit stop timer, Anthony. I'm rubbing my hands together.
Well, we had that conversation with him Thursday, didn't we? About he couldn't figure out where the 3 seconds came from.
I mean, don't get me wrong. His pit stop did look good, but stopwatch may not. Sometimes, actually, ACC sometimes lies.
True.
Man, I'm hammering this coffee. I'm gonna be traveling through time and space.
There we go. With just under 40 minutes to go, Jake Wells leads this race. Tom Foose in second. Mike Burkhoff now in third, with Anderson just coming out of the pits. Looks like he'll come out just ahead of Rob Kesar.
Am I missing something?
With what?
Wells is green, so there's no mandatory pit stop requirement for the 90-minute?
Probably not, only because you're going to have to take one. No one's rolling 90 minutes on fuel without a pit stop, right? And if you're going to go in, you're going to take tires.
Pause, sir. Pause.
What?
Anthony Anderson just punched in a 103.679 in the pits. That is fast.
He learned his lesson from last week, maybe.
Yeah.
He didn't want to hear about it this week or on Thursday.
Oh, there we go. I see it now. Wells does have a mandatory pit stop, and he's taking it right now.
Yep, heading in.
But Anderson and Wells just completely overshoots the entry. That is definitely going to cost him some time relative to Anderson.
Oh, yeah,
he only had 4 seconds to mess around with, and historically, Wells has not been the most clinical when it comes to pit stop etiquette. So let's see how much time he loses relative to Anderson. This right here could cost Wells the lead.
Well, we'll keep an eye on Anderson and see where he's landing. He's coming downhill now on the Conrad Straight, so he's certainly something here.
I mean, Anderson just punches out what looks like it could be the fastest pit stop of the race.
Jake Wells still showing in the pits and now starting to move. So Wells starting to move. We're gonna get might get a little spicy here for a minute between Anderson and Wells. Looks like Anderson's gonna stay behind Jake Wells.
Almost.
By about 2.5 seconds.
A little over. Actually, hang on a sec. A little under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
1.9 seconds difference between Anderson and Wells in the pits.
Wow.
So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So Wells lost a little bit of time relative to Anderson in the pit stop, and in terms of the lap time averages, Anderson lost a little bit of pace, which is kind of. I'm struggling to put that together because Anthony's usually really good on the average over a whole stint.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to open up and start to lose pace relative to the field, that's kind of surprising. But Anthony Anderson, historically, stronger in his second stint. Gonna wait and see. He can see Wells in the distance, so the championship is staring at him. I mean, he's staring right at the championship. So, go get it. It's going to be interesting seeing this go down the wire like this.
Well, and I think, too, what a big part of this is you've got Mike Burkhoff in front of Jake Wells right now, right? Wells closing that gap. This is, again, not a points play. Burkhoff, a silver class driver, not in points play against Wells or Anderson, and has no need to close the gap on Tom Foose, which Tom Foose right now, 24 seconds up. I don't think we need to concern ourselves at this point. But if Burkhoff battles Wells for that's going to allow Anderson to close this gap right up. Right?
Here's the thing. I don't think Wells is going to catch Burkhoff. I don't think Anderson's going to catch Burkhoff. Burkhoff,
Okay.
for being silver class right now, was about, I want to say, let me do the check real quick. 2035 to a 2038. I mean, he's 0.3 faster than Anderson.
Wow.
On track right now on average. So I don't think Wells and Anderson are catching Burkhoff unless Burkhoff makes a mistake. I really think Anderson is going to have to pass Wells on track to seal the deal here. And if I'm Wells, I'm gonna make that McLaren as wide as possible. This is a really good series finale, and the double points is making this all possible.
I think what I love about it is, and the fact that these standings across every class are so close, and that we have to get down to the last race to determine who the winner is, really is a credit to the qualifying that that the league sets up at the beginning of the season, right? To classify drivers, to put them in the right class, and to make sure there's going to be good competition at every level. And Delilah Hazel sideways right at Skyline. Wow. Trying to get out of the way. But Delilah with a spin, and the damage on the front of that car now obviously causing her problems. Looks to stay out of the way. I think it's a hats off to the league managers that put the qualifying together and really got these classes of drivers where they are and competing against the ones that they are competing against. Obviously, we're seeing like a Mike Burkhoff, to your point, running faster than some pro drivers right now, but I don't think that means he was misclassified. I think that's shown improvement over the course of the season, that Mike Burkhoff now next season maybe needs to be a pro driver, right? I'm not saying he does. We'd have to look at the other races, right? Across the whole season, and obviously there will be a season 6 qualifying session. But I think it's really, I think the league did a good job slotting these guys where they needed to be slotted.
Yeah, but also you got to look at the fact that Burkhoff's in a Ferrari at Bathurst. It's a stronger car around here. It's a tougher car to race. Mm-hmm. It is very easy to die in the Ferrari at Mount Panorama. But it is much, in terms of the balance of performance, it is a much better car to drive than the McLaren in terms of raw pace. Burkhoff opening the gap to Wells. It's almost now a second. Anthony Anderson kind of just hanging in the distance there, not really making a move to close down on Wells. I would imagine we'd start to see this gap close a little bit quicker than what we're seeing. Maybe Wells is a little bit more motivated to get with the program, but we'll have to see.
Meanwhile, Nate Lamblin, sitting in P12 after a disconnect, just decides, I'm good. I'm going to keep making purple laps for the whole race, and I'll let you guys. I'm going to finish out, but I'll let you guys do your thing as we catch up with Igor Kornikov. Timothy Glendinning looking to get around him. Glendinning currently leading in silver, and in all honesty, pretty much has that. Well, yeah. Even looking here,
He's got it locked. I think
but Kornikov is in second right now. Is the thing. So hold on, I gotta do math. I'm not good at it, so you have to give me a second. Where these guys are sitting right now is third and fourth. So Kornikov, give me a minute here.
I mean, I to be perfectly honest, I think Kornikov's own shot is a finish. Double, if I'm remembering correctly, because the gap between them was shocking.
Yeah, if this stays the way it is right now, even with Kornikov in the lead, Glendinning has this locked up. So. I just wanted to check it because with the other drivers in front, obviously they're not pulling the top tier points up the front, right? So
but Wells did find his way around Burkhoff. What happened here?
when did that happen? I was watching this battle, and there goes Nate Lamlin again with another fastest lap. Jake Wells around Burkhoff now, so Anderson's still not closing that gap up to Mike Burkhoff.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what happened here. I'm gonna go hop on the that's
Meanwhile, Igor Kornikov continues to get chased down by Timothy Glendinning. The gap coming down just a tad every lap here. Front of Kornikov's car not looking too healthy. He's obviously been tied up in a little bit today.
kind of a similar-ish moment from Burkhoff, really, is what did it. He didn't go as wide as Jake Wells did in Murray's corner and Hell corner, but it was just enough to allow Jake to, get the exit out of turn one and make the pass down Mountain Straight.
Very good. Jake Wells takes up P2 now behind Tom Foose. Let's talk a little bit about this. Again, if everybody give me a moment here. That's Wells. And Tom Foose. What did we say? 98 points on this race.
I'm kind of curious now. I'm struggling to figure out where Wells found this pace.
Oh.
Because his first stint was a 2:03.9 on the average. His second stint is a 2:02.9.
Okay.
And with a 105 in the pits, I don't think he would have taken repairs from any kind of damage he would have gotten during the race. So I'm really struggling here. Like, what has Wells had up his sleeve this whole time that he wasn't sharing with the class?
Could he have had to? Could he have needed to adjust pressures on that second stint?
It could have been. It could be pressures. That could definitely be a factor here. I mean, yeah. Again, I'm just like a second. Like he found a second.
But to be fair, Wells also right now just needs to stay ahead of Anderson. He does not need to catch Tom Foose.
Oh no, he doesn't. He doesn't.
He's got because this is gonna. He's got this locked up with a second place finish. Wait, did I do that right? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Hold on.
Yeah, he would finish ahead of Anderson, and Anderson might not finish ahead of Foose in this quarter. No, he would finish. He would still finish ahead of Foose. But I'm just like curious now, like what has Wells been holding back this whole time to find a second? Because he's lapping on the average now about 0.3 faster than Anderson.
Oh.
And he was lapping almost 0.2 slower in the first end.
Now it does look like Anderson's closing back in on Burkhoff. But with Wells running that much quicker, I don't see Anderson being able to catch him in the next 26 minutes.
No.
And either way, Wells staying where he's at, Tom Foose in first. Everything finishing as it stands right now, Jake Wells will clinch this championship. As we watch Timothy Glendinning looking for that outside move. We call that the Phil Milwee special right there.
I don't know if you would call it something. I don't know if you would necessarily call it my signature move at Bathurst, but it is definitely a move that I've definitely taken before and is pretty.
Glendinning showing a ton of patience and finally getting around Igor Kornikov.
I got to get you into a team event at Bathurst. You would have so much fun.
Oh man, nobody wants me on their team. Trust me.
Got to change that, man.
If I'm not
turn
slow,
that frown upside down.
If I'm not slow, then I'm bouncing off walls, so it's probably a bad idea all around. Anderson now right up on Mike Burkhoff. Maybe Anderson finding some pace. Blue, I wouldn't be on your team if it was the last team on the planet. I've seen what happens to the people on your team.
Got to get guys Box 3 special event entrance into some of those iRacing special. You guys would have a blast. Kidding me?
I know. Believe me, I know.
Just max out. Just get enough people interested and max out an entry for something like, I don't know, 12 hours of Bathurst. So there's like 6 people. You only got to do 2 hours, you know?
Anderson has gotten around Burkhoff right there coming up the hill. So Anderson now, you talked about Jake Wells finding pace. It looks to me like Anderson has found some pace all of a sudden too.
Yeah, he's closed the gap a little bit to Wells for the last lap or so. Pretty similar last laps for both of them, time-wise. Yeah, Burkhoff was quite a bit slower than both of them.
Did Anderson just hit the ball? That's a good question.
Back up just a little bit. Maybe we didn't go far enough there. I think he was up top. Looks like he skated by right there, so...
yeah, it was clean. Close, but I think he got it. Still got the mirror on the side of that car.
Anthony Anderson now taking up P3. Now, given that this is where he's running, I mean, this puts him in a good spot. Charlie Booth out. He's obviously not going to catch Jake Wells with this. At least, well, I don't think so. Anyway, let's do some math. He's not going to catch Wells because Wells is already ahead, but I'm curious to see if he stays ahead of Tom Foose with this finish.
Wells just did a 2:03.2, but Anderson could not capitalize and did a 2:04.4, losing what could have been, if he kept his pace, he could have closed that gap up pretty significantly there.
Oh, wow. Anderson needs to maintain this spot. Now, that shouldn't be a problem. His nearest competition being Jarrett Skinner. But this puts Anderson and Foose finishing the season within 5 points of each other.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not
So
saying which is which. I'm not going to go into that now. But yeah, five points. 5 points of each other if things stand as they are.
As they are. And Skinner's a lap down, so I don't think that's going to be a concern. Shouldn't be playing into any game plans going forward. Kornikov is in the pits again.
And that's unfortunate for Kornikov because
Yeah.
that's just going to give Kisar and Burkhoff even more ammunition and points.
Absolutely, it does. They're both. I think Kisar is really gonna be the beneficiary of how this plays out. He's only gonna be one place behind Mike Burkhoff, which he's got the points in the standings. They're all so close though. I just went and looked at the total points and I'm like, 2 positions in the standings, but it's only 3 points. So
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, it's so close.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's big. There's just no way to really convey how close the field to the audience.
Mhm.
Like you can go follow Box3 on SimGrid yourself and check out the standings because the margins are paper thin.
I just posted the standings in the chat. And
No, you
just
didn't.
put a link up to them. Yeah.
No, you didn't.
No.
Send me.
Got
no.
him.
Got him. Shoot that to me, Matt, on Discord, and I'll post it. We'll have to make sure we get you set up for that.
Oh, okay. Oh, because I tried to post a link and I'm not able to post links. Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
a good call out because that's just one of the things I'll need to make sure is taken care of.
Yeah, no. I appreciate that. He deleted my link, says Blue.
I don't delete all the links; they
Understandable.
just don't show up.
Yeah, no, and that's it's probably for the
protection.
better.
It is. We got to watch out for the
You
guys that
actually
want
have people that see my Twitch stream gets. I had a record 10 viewers at once last night, and so
Nice.
I don't really have to worry about that type of stuff. As far as people spamming me, I'm just happy if somebody's talking to me in the middle of the night when I'm streaming. To be honest with you. But yeah, so I just forwarded you the SimGrid link. Just really quick and easy.
Yeah,
But,
no problem. You stream those DGen hours, so I'm not able to watch it because I'm asleep.
no, I don't sleep like a normal human being.
Gotcha.
So Tom Foods is just managing this race perfectly right now. Just needs to keep it on the black stuff, bring it home, bring home a solid haul of points. Looking at a podium, it is it's looking good. Meanwhile, Jake Wells 203.0 on the average, Anthony Anderson 203.3, so Anthony Anderson really losing ground relative to Jake Wells. Kornikov in the pits. I'm really kind of curious how the P2 to P7 field's about to shift. We are down 8 drivers.
Yeah, just it
It has been a war of attrition today.
and we even lost Delilah Hazel. I didn't realize that she had dropped out.
Casualties just as
Yeah, the bodies are stacked at the bottom base of the mountain today.
When you look too, it's only the top 6 that are on the lead lap. Everybody else is at least a lap down.
Just been brutal at Mount Panorama today.
Fairly clean. It's again like the Pro-Am race this morning. It was more the mountain one than any kind of unfair driving.
We did have 2 decent pileups that will get reviewed on Recovery Drive on Thursday. This I can guarantee.
Yeah.
And mainly because that first one, I'd really like to know what the genesis of that first one was. Because again, was it Paquin that we saw go off track? Whoever it was that went off track initially, got the car off track and made no contact with anybody in that pileup.
Didn't make any contact with anybody, but people avoiding it. I think there may have been a spin, and that just turned into a domino effect of catching everybody out. Because being as narrow as it is, when you have one car on one side of the, even against the wall, everybody's being funneled to the inside of a corner, and then nowhere to go from there. So.
And we talked about that as the driver that has spun, right? Whether we talk about, your own fault or you got pushed, it doesn't matter. As the driver who spun on a circuit like Bathurst, you can do everything right. You get spun, you bounce the wall, you hold your brakes, you wait for a clear spot to turn around and get back down the hill. And still, even doing all that can cause a massive pileup. And I think that's very rare in other places, because if you hold your brakes like you're supposed to, you go off track, you slide into the gravel, or you maybe bounce a wall, but that wall is a little further outside the confines of where you're racing, versus, again, up this hill where, starting right here, where we're watching Mike Burkhoff right now, there's nowhere to go. You're done. It's a very different monster, and this is why we always say the mountain might be the champion today.
And not only is it narrow with the walls on both sides, but it's a lot of blind corners because of the elevation change, where you being the driver behind aren't necessarily going to see the incident ahead, and so they can snowball and turn into what we saw there on lap 1.
Maybe for Bathurst races, because there was talk this week on the Discord of making every season end at Bathurst. Let's separate the men from the boys and just end every season at Bathurst.
Grand finale?
Right, grand finale at Bathurst each season. I don't know if that'll ever happen or not. Phil put his head down. I just saw that. It's like he was like, "Oh no, don't do
I was
that."
stretching my neck.
Thought he was gonna cry when he heard that. I wonder if we shouldn't team up for a race like this. If we shouldn't try and team up, and it'd be a very interesting experiment. I think the AM and Pro-Am, an AM or Pro-Am driver with a Silver or Pro driver, right? And possibly open the server up so that during the AM and Pro-Am race, the Silver and, much like Phil, I'm sure you're aware, iRacing, right? Spotters. Yeah. So you throw a spotter in, basically give every driver a spotter for the Bathurst race, so that there's someone looking out ahead going, "Hey dude, there's a massive pile up right after Skyline. You need to slow down right now." So you know what I mean? Like, I'm wondering if that wouldn't be an experiment to try.
The other thing you could do is open up the voice chat and have, say, like a live steward, a single person that's just watching the thing, say, "Hey, there's an incident up ahead."
Somebody in drone camera that can float above the mountain and see everything.
Just a warning to all, and just say, "Hey, turn."
I'll take your idea, and I'll add some seasoning to it for you.
Okay.
What if the series finale of both splits was an actual team
Full
event?
grid. Oh.
Full grid?
No,
or
team? Just a team event.
Put them together. Okay.
What you
It's a
do
driver swap
is
team event.
what you do is you pair up. You have like Pro Silver pair up with one AM Pro-Am from the field, and your finishing points counts towards your class.
Okay.
So if you're AM and you finish 5th, it counts as a 5th place AM finish. And if you're Silver and you finish 1st, it counts for a 1st for Silver. Anderson just went into the wall at the exit of Forest Elbow.
Yes, he did. Trying to race Burkhoff, and listen, Anderson's got no reason to race Burkhoff right now.
All I'm saying is that what would be interesting, and I also feel like if you could balance it in such a way where, you could try and get like the pros to pick up Pro-Am and the Silver to pick up AM.
Yeah.
That could be pretty interesting. Or you could even do Pro pick up AM and Pro-Am.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Pick up Pro-Am.
Yeah.
That would be pretty interesting from a distribution perspective. The trick is that if you have uneven classes, it would make it really challenging for you to feel that kind of idea. But if you could do it for a finale, that would be chef's kiss. Like it would just be.
Yeah, but think about this. I mean, you talk about uneven classes. We had Pro-Am drivers today, right? Setting 202s. Silver and Pro, if you look at these best lap times, are setting 202s.
I'm talking car counts. I'm not talking.
Oh,
I'm not talking.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not talking uneven in terms of pace. I'm talking like we had 21 start.
Not even just car counts, but
we had
when
19
you think
start
about,
this.
Yeah. Blue. Right
even
up.
then,
That's
when you
what
think
we want
about
to do.
the manufacturer too, like who you're gonna have to get people to be willing to drive the other car if you're doing a team event, right?
Well, I think
Or
we
you
would have
thinking
to. I
just
think you'd almost have to
everybody's on
line
track
that
at
up.
once?
Maybe you'd have to line that up from the beginning of the season.
You'd have to line it up at the beginning of the season,
Yeah.
and it would be very tricky to perform. In fact, it might not be a bad idea for that to be, rather than that be the finale, let that one be the opener, because that's when you're going to have maximum participation.
True.
And the other thing is too, is if you do a team event, don't make it something like an endurance race. Don't get me wrong, I love endurance racing and I love team events. I really, really love how SRO does team sprints.
The sprint series, yeah, absolutely. Driver swap in the pit window, and
if you did a 2-minute mandatory pit window for an hour-long race, that is like I've heard a lot of people complain about, like, well, I don't want to spend half an hour outside of the car. I'm like, your eyes are going to be glued to whether or not your friend is getting run into or
there.
not.
Yep.
Burkhoff executes the pass.
Making the pass.
And that's when you're going to get, your teammate will be your spotter and watching out for you and working strategy with you. When are we going to pit? Do we need to adjust tire pressures? You can be more focused on the driving than on the logistics of the car at that point as well.
Yeah, I said blue. Write it up. Let's go.
One of the things I've been thinking about for Xbox, and we got overwhelming support for our special event to be a multi-class event, GT3, GT4, and I really think that we on Xbox could attract more drivers to our series if we did a full multi-class season, and in that instance do a manufacturer's cup challenge, basically, where you take somebody from the GT4 and somebody from the GT3, and they're both driving, say, the AMG cars. Now they can get, they're going to have their individual race. The GT3 is going to get his GT3 points, the GT4 will get their GT4 points, and then you can kind of get that extra bonus manufacturer cup point for the best combined finish of a team type of thing. I think it could bring an interesting element to a championship season.
Speaking of championship seasons right now, Anderson's chances of taking this championship are just falling further and further away. Over 7 seconds between him and Jake Wells. Meanwhile, Tom Foose just in another world, another universe. But Tom Foose may have already won the race. We'll never know. So it's just one of those. Like it is. I mean, the man's time traveling right now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like 7/10 faster than Wells right now on average.
Wow, unbelievable.
Just kind of send it on autopilot too, not having to deal with traffic.
Oh, excuse me.
Feels like he's
2/10 on average. 7/10 over the previous lap. But
Gotcha.
but yeah, he's just checked out.
No,
He's got to keep it out of the wall. He's got to keep it out of the wall.
But when have we ever seen Tom Foose put it into the wall? I don't know that we've seen him get caught up by others. But once he's running his pace, I don't think we've ever seen Tom Foose across the 3 or 4 seasons he's run with us. I don't think we've ever seen him put it into a wall. It just doesn't happen.
No self-inflicted mistakes.
He's super consistent. And again, we talked about that consistency here at Bathurst. Now, again, Foose is one of those guys who's not only a fast driver, he's also a good driver, right? And so being able to put those two things together,
Rose is like, Nate Lamlin's still dropping purple gummies on the field. I mean, Nate
just
is
smashing him too.
Nate is just.
What's he down to now? 2:01.325.
Yeah. Just
wow.
That's
doing.
He's gonna close the gap to Kornikov and go up a lap.
It is
sooner than later.
It's wild. Like Nate, especially in the M4, the man just knows how to whisper to that car and make it do things that probably shouldn't be allowed in most settings, but it's weird.
What I'm trying to
Some people
understand,
just click with a certain car.
what I'm trying to understand, and what I cannot wait for Thursday for, is to talk to Anderson, and hopefully he will be on recovery drive again. I cannot understand what his strategy was this race. So does he not have Burkhoff's pace? Right? Is Burkhoff that much better, or have that much better of a setup?
I've been asking that question the whole race.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to understand what Anderson's strategy was here, because again, not catching Wells. He's not going to catch Wells in the just under 7 minutes we have left. And it seems like he's been very happy to just sit here and play games with Burkhoff the whole time.
Well, that's the thing. And Phil, your data might show it, but like it seems like he has the pace when he wants it, but it seems like he doesn't seem to always want it this race.
So the thing that I'll say, and this is kind of like me being on the on Anthony Anderson defense train here, is when you take a look at the first stint, Anthony Anderson really had a beat on Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Wells had a pretty dramatic first stint. Average lap time from Wells was 2:03.9. Average lap time from Anderson ended up being a 2:03.8, but that became closer and closer. Like Wells got closer and closer to Anderson as Anderson's pace started to drop off, which is pretty uncharacteristic for Anderson. This is his first stint was 49 minutes, so he did have 24 laps on that set of tires. Could explain why the pace started to drop off the way that it did. Second stint, I don't know like what Wells snorted while in pit lane or what, but immediately unlocked almost 0.8 on average between first and second stint in terms of pace. So it is very much Wells just kind of came alive. Now Burkhoff, relative to both of them, in the first stint, had them both beat on average pace. Burkhoff has had a more dramatic second stint. Pace has not been there for Burkhoff. Averaging 2:03.5 first stint, averaging 2:07 now, or 2:03.7 now. It's just kind of a tale of two races happening in the same race somehow. But yeah, I don't think it was a strategy thing. I really think there's just something between that first and second stint for the three drivers we're talking about, where it just became a tale of two races.
Yeah. So with Wells, Molson, you had mentioned maybe pressures, but I find pressures 0.8 of a second average is he was either wildly off with his pressures in the first stint, or he got him absolutely nailed for the second stint. But I think there was something else maybe that helped add to it, but I think there's something else going on here with Wells for the second stint.
But to Phil's point, maybe they got him all, the pit crew got him all hepped up on goofballs during the pit stop. Who knows?
Well, I mean, the other difference too is it could be in terms of like strategy. You want to talk about strategy? You want to talk about prep with 4 minutes left in the race, 4 minutes to change. It could be down to strategy in terms of prep for the setup. Anderson did 49 minutes, 40 seconds on the first stint. Wells did a 51:42 on the first stint. So he is going to finish this race with
a lap
probably
better tires.
A lap better tires. But the thing is he is going to finish this race doing approximately 18 laps on that second stint of that second set of tires. So his setup could have been dialed in more for that light fuel load at the end of the race. Whereas Anthony Anderson's setup could have been dialed in more for being run heavy. And that could be the reason why we're seeing this pace swing. Not sure. We'll have to ask the question from Anderson from his setup perspective on recovery drive, and maybe we'll hear a little bit more from Jake after the end of this race. But that could be kind of the difference maker.
Well, right now, keeping an eye on Rob Keesar as Timothy Glendening catching up, getting it down to about a second, and Keesar decides to cut the grass. And Timothy Glendening, a bit of a rough rejoin right there. Glendening able to shut it down just in time. And now Nate Lamlin going to play with him. Rob Keesar feeling the pressure. Keesar's had a great season. Really should hold Glendening here at the end of this race. Looks like we're going to be down to about the last 2 laps, depending on where Foose is. There's Foose right there. So we'll get 2 more laps out of this. Lamlin wants around both of them.
Yeah, I thought he was going to take him inside in turn 1 there. I think he's just kind of letting that unfold in front of him. He knows he's got no dog in the fight at this point.
Yeah.
But these two are battling.
Let him have at it. Glendenning, a very clean driver throughout this season, applied a lot of pressure earlier. Igor Kornikov and was able to get around. And now only 2 laps to pull it off.
This has been a heck of a season.
Oh, this whole season's been great.
It's been a wonderful last race. This has been absolutely like riveting and captivating. It's not, you know, even when there's been a bit of downtime, there's still, you look away for a second and all of a sudden something happens on track.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to push this storyline too hard, but Tom Foose is still in the lead of this race after 42 laps. Just wanted to say that I'm not going to take these odds to Vegas, but
no, listen, I get you, and I get why you made that choice too, though, because just talked about it a few minutes ago. You don't see Tom Foose make his own mistakes. Right? He might get caught up in somebody else's, but you do not see Tom Foose make his own mistakes. So once he broke to the front of this race, from that moment on, it was all over. He's had the pace, and more importantly, we're at Bathurst. He had the consistency. He locked down the consistency, and that was the end of it. So to see him up front, it's not surprising to me that he's been able to hold this the whole race. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like
see Glendenning there with a little bit of a shimmy
coming
coming
a little bit of
coming out of hell
a little
corner.
shimmy shake out of there.
But now Kesar gives Kesar a little bit of a breather. Now I see Nate Lamlin.
And he put Lamlin in between them, which will help him out as well.
So Tom's going to be on final lap here.
Yep, final lap has started. Tom Foose and the number 27 car leading us out.
If I'm Mike Burkhoff, I was really hoping for Lincoln on the way star.
It would have given Burkhoff a little bit more of a boost to this. Great race. He's run a really, really solid race this whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
Especially being in the silver driver and keeping pretty good pace with Wells and Anderson this whole way. Two of the guys fighting for the championship in pro. It's a pretty good showing.
Absolutely, Glendenning starting to close in on Kesar a little bit. We'll keep an eye back there as we watch our race leader come across, Tom Foose, bringing it home here at Mount Panorama. Just saw in the background there that Nate Lamlin's still between Kesar and Glendenning, so I don't think we're going to get any kind of contest there. Unless he were to decide to try and back out, but don't know how he would safely. Tom Foose brings it home for round 7, season 5 of Box 3 Motorsports. There it is as we await Jake Wells now. Mike Burkhoff looking to finish in 3rd. Kesar Glendenning crossing in 5th and 6th respectively. Nate Lamlin finishing out in 11th. Shame to see so many drivers drop, but congratulations to Tom Foose. Great run on his part.
What a genius. What an absolute genius. Finishing that race in first when I called it last week.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Anthony Anderson getting ready to come across the line. Strong season for Anthony. So close to being able to take it from Jake, but man.
Great season for Anderson.
Jake Wells, man. What a finish from him for this season. Like, after Indy, and it being as dramatic as that was, like, good on Jake.
Yep.
Again, Jake got to race with him in Bathurst, and he's a good dude. A lot of fun to race with. I cannot wait to look at these results from the silver class, though. I want to see how the mathematics is about to shuffle P2 to P7 up like
Yeah.
like a bag full of
Yeah,
dice.
this is gonna, and that's why I said, I mean, I appreciate Huff going in there and trying to throw those provisionals up for us real quick, but I don't want to put it out there to people when it's not the results, and we're just, it's gonna get confused and befuddled. So I'd much prefer not to do that. Well, gentlemen, thank you. First, Phil, to you, thank you, of course, for being here again and joining me throughout this season, and I hope you're going to continue to stick around. I think you are. I hope so.
I'll be
And my new partner here on the PC side, and Matt, thank you to you for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
It's probably a little inside baseball, but Matt joined us today at my request because he still runs Xbox. He has a PC, but is looking to provide some commentary and get some commentary rolling for our Xbox side, and I would love to be able to do that again. It's been a long time since we've been able to provide race coverage for the Xbox stuff. And Matt, fantastic job joining us today. Thank you so much, because
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're going to get you set up. And
it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. It's a blast. And we'll get you set up for Xbox coverage and have you back next week. We should be all set. Before we go, folks, don't forget Recovery Drive every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time right now, Eastern Standard Time right now, Eastern Daylight after the 12th of March. And Season 5 might be over, but 4 hours of Laguna Seca kicks off March 12th. We will be here for it, the entire 4 hours. And speaking of Xbox, whoops, we went to the wrong one. Speaking of Xbox, March 11th, the Shamrock Sprint 60-minute race, and you have to have a green colored car. Don't forget that the primary color on your car has to be green. Anybody participating there, don't forget about that. Phil, again,
any shade of green, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
that's been a question we've gotten.
So Phil, thank you again so much, and hopefully you'll join me for the 4 hours at Laguna Seca if possible. That might be a lot of fun, as my dog shows up to join us for the end of the race here today, and she's gonna climb. It's gonna get fun here in a second. And Matt, same to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. To everybody watching, for myself, Phil, and Matt, thank you guys. Such a great race today, and we will see you on Thursday for Recovery Drive, so be sure and stick around for that. Everybody have yourselves a great week. Thank you.